Ricordo.
We're live. Tell your friends you're listening to the Verhoeven Effect podcast. I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
We have another very special episode. We have the 2004 movie Collateral. Nathan, do you have a history of Collateral?
I saw it in the theater because I heard, number one, it was a Michael Mann movie. And number two, I heard that Tom Cruise was the bad guy,
Which
which
is,
sounds like an interesting premise. And it was also done, it was not a super expensive movie.
yeah, I guess.
Well, it wasn't $100 million movie.
No, I mean it's like limited cast and well, I mean I guess they do have some pretty big scenes, but that's about it. But yeah, they didn't have like car. Well, I guess they technically had car chases, but they weren't.
It's stuff that, like, oh, this happens in real life. It's like, oh, yeah, you lose control and the car flips over. Like, that really happens.
um, Yeah, is this in your workaholic phase, or is this beyond that?
No, I was still in that, but I could see movies on the weekends.
Oh, okay.
We weren't working. The 7 day a week thing was only like that was a 98, 99, 2000 thing. And then after that, that broke down because Sunday's double time. That's a lot of money. You better be, if you got 5 or 6,000 people working for double time, you better be making a lot of money or not, or embezzling money or whatever you're doing.
Came out August 2004. So, like we said before, August movies are usually movies that studios don't know if they'll do well or not. So, I think this did well. At least for an R-rated movie, it did well enough. So,
It made 250 million domestic dollars.
oh really? I didn't think it was that high domestically. I thought it only made like $100 million. Okay, that's good.
I remember seeing this in September.
Okay.
Oh, it had been out.
Oh yeah, it's 2 months. So, yeah.
Yeah, it had been in real. It was been out for a while. So, because I basically heard about like word of mouth, like, yeah, this is a good movie.
Yeah, I think I just saw the trailer. I was like, that looks cool.
Yeah.
And that was probably around the time I was rediscovering Heat or something like that on cable. I was like, yeah, I'll go watch Heat with Tom Cruise. Go back to LA, have some crime stuff going on. But this is actually coming off of Ali, which I remember like it was fine, but it was like it's one of those like kind of boring Michael Mann movies. Like, this is well done. I'm done. Like, I'm bored now. I'm moving on. We also did The Insider, which you really like, which that's another one I think I just bounced off of. I probably just need to watch it again sometime. So, because I don't know, that's to me, because like, the whole person is like, oh yeah, cigarettes, like the cigarette companies aren't telling you how bad cigarettes are. It's like, yeah, but I don't smoke, so I got the message. So why do I need to watch this movie? um, so yeah, of course, director is Michael Mann. Oh man, so I don't know who the cinematographer is. It has two cinematographers, and I don't know why that is. I didn't bother to research it. It's got Don Beebe and Paul Cameron, which they've all done decent movies. I think Paul is the guy that works with. Yeah, he's done a lot of good stuff. I think he worked with. Has he worked with Cameron a bunch, or is that the other? It might be the. Okay, he did Miami Vice with him too. So, oh yeah, he shot Equilibrium,
Yep.
the movie Chicago.
The Cut. That's a weird one.
What's in the cut?
That's the one where
Oh, was that the one with the one chick who like she got like surgery and then that was like the end of her career? Yeah,
yeah,
Meg Ryan. Yeah,
Meg Ryan and Kevin Bacon was in it.
yeah.
And, yeah, it seems like it's almost like a it's basically a woman that's kind of going crazy, and she sees like all these things that she thinks relates to her life, and
Yeah.
everyone in her life is like, no, I can't. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but then it turns out it's like, oh no, that was all real. It's one of those psychological movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It doesn't quite become horror or
Thriller.
supernatural,
Okay.
but it's just really strange.
Did Edge of Tomorrow, which that's Another Tom Cruise movie. Might another one of those like that's an awesome movie. Gemini Man. That was another. I don't think that's good, but that's one of those movies that they really tried some new stuff with cinematography there. So I feel like a lot of his movies are kind of experimental with cinematography. But again, I'm not sure what he did here necessarily.
Well, I'm thinking he did a lot of the digital stuff, and
Well,
I
it's
think
all digital.
yeah, but I think the stuff, the digital stuff done during the day looks a little more traditional, like as the day goes into night. So I'm guessing if they had two of them, there was probably a guy doing second unit day stuff, and then this guy was
Why?
doing night stuff.
Well, I mean, he would just be a second unit director then, because also like there's only like 10 minutes of daylight in this movie, and the rest of it's at night.
Yeah, well, the end, yeah, the end is the dawn too, right?
Yeah, but it's like the very end.
Yeah, I could. I'm only guessing because I don't know. Didn't see any trivia that explained why there were two guys.
Um,
But I'm
yeah,
guessing by looking at the cinematography they've done, it seems like the Paul Cameron has done more. Paul Cameron been doing it a lot longer.
yeah,
So
he's got like Gone in 60 Seconds, Man on Fire. He's got good stuff too. So, um, the remake of Total Recall, which is not good.
looks cool, but it's not good.
um, oh wait, no, that's nuts. Okay, there's some crossover here because the writer of this movie is like basically did all the Pirates movies, Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and so
Yeah.
he he was a cinematographer on one of those. He did cinematography on a couple episodes on Westworld. So they both these guys got chops. I'm just not exactly sure why they're double billed here. But yeah, we got Stuart Beattie wrote it. I think he's like Australian or something, or is he like New Zealand or something like that?
I believe it was Australian.
So yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to say that name. Is it Beatty or a Beatty or something weird? Yeah. So yeah, he wrote like all the Pirates movies. He directed two movies. Um, yeah, which one that? Tomorrow When the War Began, which I think I've seen the trailer for and seems interesting, and I've heard good things about it and never watched it because that's about like Australian teenagers go on like a camping trip and then like the country gets invaded.
Was that like Red Dawn in Australia?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like the thing I can't remember is it like do they get invaded by like another country or is it like an alien invasion? That I can't remember what's going on there.
Oh,
Um
oh,
and then a movie like I remember I think look the trailers for it was incredibly stupid. Um and then like you hear and then like it got bad reviews, but then there's like supposed to be something redeeming about it, which is the I Frankenstein movie.
okay. I remember hearing about that.
I just remember it didn't look good, and then some people are like, "Oh, actually, it's kind of interesting," and then like, "I don't believe you," and then never watched it. So, also he wrote that Interceptor movie that Netflix did, with like they're on the, like the radar dome out in the middle of the ocean, and it gets taken over by terrorists or whatever.
Oh, is that the one that can shoot down nuclear missiles if
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
fired in America? Okay.
I think I watched like half that movie. It's like, well, this is kind of fun, but it's also stupid. And then it got too stupid, and then I just stopped watching it. So, it got on the verge of, there's a difference between like McTiernan stupid and like, I don't know, I'm forgetting his name. The guy does like, Armageddon and stuff like that.
Oh,
Michael
Roland
Michael
Emmerich.
Bay
Oh,
stupid. Emmerich's stupid too. Yeah. Hey, here's this big, like world changing event. Do you want to see this? It's like, yeah, that looks cool. And then they just like ends up being like the most. It's like the most. We're gonna have the dumbest people in the most important circumstance in all of human history. So,
yeah.
um.
Yeah, I think his best movies were Stargate and Independence Day.
Yeah.
That's
And then
about it.
well, and what's the Day After Tomorrow? I think is pretty good.
I don't remember. Is that one of the upper atmosphere gets sucked down and
Yeah,
freezes
polar
planet?
vortex. There it's like extra extreme where it's like basically it's pulling down space into the, but that actually can't do that. But or yeah, or the polar vortex is like evacuating so much air that you're basically living in space. um, but yeah, then you got like the California tornadoes and stuff like that, just like ripping apart like LA skyscrapers. That was neat, and then just floods and stuff like that, and then but that was like genius compared to like 2012, which is like one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen. So,
Yeah.
we're gonna outrun a volcano exploding. I mean, they got that that Antov whatever airplane to do. It's like, well, that's a cool feature of the movie. So,
Yeah. Now it's been destroyed.
oh, is that the only one? I thought there was two of them.
Oh. Well, yeah, maybe. I know one of them got destroyed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because that was like the pride of Ukraine.
They say they're going to build it again.
Yeah.
I hope so. Chance to.
And then, of course, the
We just
cast.
need to give them nuclear weapons. Be like, here.
Imagine the bombs that can drop out of that thing.
Yeah, that would be cool if they just they did the whole caged stealth cruise missile thing out of Anatov. Like 500 missiles are heading in all directions.
Yeah, I was thinking about like, I forget. I saw some video of like, some like heavyweight that fell off an airplane and like the damage it did to things as it like flew to the ground. It was like, man, what if you just filled an airplane with like just like sharp, like just giant versions of like
Just kinetic in weapons.
yeah, like but like like jacks, stuff like that. Just a ton of those just roll out of an airplane, then just like as the momentum carries it forward, it just like kills all entire army underneath it. So,
Just giant jacks.
yeah.
Rolling through a field. That would freak people out so bad.
What? There's no explosions.
Yeah. It's not going to accidentally kill anyone once it comes to rest. It's not like a cluster bomb where they don't all go off. That'd be insane. Dropping tank traps out of cargo planes on people. What about just balls of lead?
Yeah.
Like you just drop them out.
Yeah. Because I just was thinking about it, like visually that's more interesting, but then they think like, oh, what that does to a person. It's like that's probably in some ways like more horrific than just getting blown up, because you're never gonna feel getting blown up unless you're just at the very edges of it where you just get like concussion, blast, and fire. But
Yeah.
in the middle of it, you're just eviscerated and you don't feel a thing. But yeah, the cast here for Collateral is Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, and Jada Pinkett Smith. It's a very small cast because that's pretty much the main characters right there. So
Yeah. Mark Ruffalo is also in it.
Yeah, which I didn't. I was trying to think. It's like, oh crap, he's in this movie, and then I was like trying to think of like, when did I know Mark Ruffalo was Mark Ruffalo? And then like the only thing I could think of is like the trailer for Brothers Bloom is really when I knew who he was. And that's because I look at his history. It's like, oh yeah, he was in that, but I don't think I knew Mark Ruffalo till like Brothers Bloom. So
Yeah, because I didn't realize until I watched it this time, like today. It's like, oh, Javier Bardem's in this.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that he was in this.
Yeah, because this is before No Country for Old Men. Like, because this wasn't a star-making performance for him. But it's like, I know that voice.
Yeah,
That's Javier Bardem.
I know that cool-looking guy.
Somehow looks older in this than he does in No Country for Old Men. But
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do.
yeah, but there he's like clean-shaven and stuff like that. So
And he has a very had to wear. They made was that a wig he wore? Or did they
probably
just cut his hair like that?
he's like a Spanish Amish man who kills people violently.
That's his. That's the secret identity of Sugar Spanish. I'm trying to think. I think Mark Ruffalo I'm trying to think when he came onto my radar. Maybe Zodiac.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
And then he
Because
also
I definitely knew him before he was the Hulk, so I know that.
right. Yeah, I
But
know
then,
that
but then when I look at movies that came before Collateral here, I'm like, I don't remember him in any of this.
because I know I recognize him. Was he in that movie Spotlight too?
Yeah,
Okay, that's probably where I first like. Oh, this guy's like when he really stands out
yeah.
as like a guy.
And like I don't, at some point he had a brain tumor and he had it removed. I don't know how much that affected his career because some people make it sound like he barely survived, and other people it's like, oh, it was a benign tumor and brain surgery's brain surgery, so there's always going to be some, effect afterwards. But
It was a weekend tumor. Come on.
because I know there was like I think it's Delino DeShields. She's like a basketball player for the Chicago Sky, and she had something like that, like a benign spinal tumor,
Okay.
and like didn't feel anything. And then like one day she was playing in Europe, and like somebody kind of like kicked her in her back, and it's like I can't feel my legs.
God, what a nightmare.
Or I don't think it was that extent, but then they told her about it. And it's like, well, should we remove it? And they're like, well, it's benign, but yeah, we better remove it.
Wait a minute. It's like some kind of weird on-off switch, so it's not that benign.
But yeah, they had it removed, and then she basically just had to like relearn how to do everything again because she basically was like not I mean basically paralyzed and but like she could still move, but like it took incredible effort to move again. Now she's playing basketball again, but I don't think she's starting again, and it kind of feels like it's not going to go her way. But that she returned to basketball at all was an amazing thing. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's yeah.
But I don't know. It's like they've been. I know there's all these wrestlers that like had to retire because they had like spinal stenosis, and now they're just all back wrestling again. And I always think it's funny when people like ask. There's a wrestling reporter, Dave Meltzer. They're like, "Oh, hey, like what? Like you follow like sports, medicine and stuff like that. You know a bunch of people in that field. Like, what changed to make these people come back?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing changed. Then just the lawyers start letting him wrestle again."
What changed? Limited liability.
Yeah. It wasn't like the doctor said they couldn't wrestle, it was the lawyers.
All they had to do was sign a waiver and say they couldn't sue us, and they're free to die in the ring. Actually, we make more money if that happens.
Yeah, because I remember like I bought one thing where like they showed one guy like this. It's like a thing that like straps to your head. Almost looks like that thing that Doc has when Marty goes back in time and he meets Doc for the first time, and he's got that weird contraption on his head, and it's like a thing for like strengthening your neck and stuff like that. It's like, oh man, like that must be awesome. And then I found that information out later on. It's like, well, this doesn't really do anything for you. It just you can feel, yeah, you can feel better about yourself.
It didn't work for Doc and either.
Yeah.
It's like, what this means? You can't read. I can't read.
I mean, it's not that it's like, you weren't doing weird neck exercises anyways. So if you do it, it's not going to harm you, and you might, it might help you a little bit, but it's not going to like make you Superman or stop your neck from getting hurt. So, oh yeah, what the hell? I can't even remember how the hell I got on there. But
we're talking about Mark Ruffalo's tumor.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Who else was in this? Peter Berg, and then the character actor Bruce McGill, who you know him when you see him.
Yeah, Peter Berg. I think this is his last like acting role because now he's like a big time. Well, actually, I don't know where he is now. He might be in director's jail, but he directs a lot of huge movies. So
yeah, I knew he was.
I mean, some like he did like something we're gonna get to eventually. He did the Battleship movie, which is like an awful but like well done awful movie where it's like like this is Michael Bay's stupid, but it's well executed for how stupid. Like it's not as stupid as it should be. It's still really stupid, but and they got a great a great cast. Like, how did you get these people? It's like we just paid them. So
yep.
And they have and then it's called Battleship, so they get out of Battleship. So it's like, yeah, why not?
It practically sells itself.
Yeah. I mean, I think that movie bombed, but I just remember seeing it. It's like, oh, this isn't the trash I was expecting it to be. So,
Yeah, the idea is funny.
yeah. And it's not played for humor at all. So.
No,
But yeah, Peter Berg did like Lone Survivor. He did like, uh,
Deepwater Horizon, Patriots Day.
yeah, he likes
Which
working.
Patriots Day is, I didn't watch that, like just sit down and watch it in the theater because I thought, oh, okay, whatever, that story. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, I didn't realize what a wild ass gunfight they had with those two brothers across that whole city.
Oh, I didn't know about that, huh?
Oh yeah, those people were lunatics. I mean, they were shooting with the police. They took a guy hostage.
Huh.
They drove his car. They had multiple shootouts with the Boston police. But then you realize geographically how small Boston is. And he was like, because it seems like, oh, this went on through New York or something. And you realize, like, oh, it's a really small city, actually. But these guys, like, held off with the police for a long time. And then the one brother hid, and the other brother just went down, just went down screaming. They shot him to death. But I didn't realize, like, how crazy the Tsarnaevs were and how many multiple times they engaged with the police and just running gun battles. Like,
Huh.
I thought this was just about the Boston
bomb going
Marathon
off,
bombing, and
yeah.
that was like the stories that surrounded it. And it was, but it was also like those guys were nuts. I mean, I think the only reason they didn't kill the other brothers, I don't think he had anything left to fight with, so he was just hiding in a boat because I don't think he had any guns or anything left. Because a lot of the stuff they were doing was like guns they stole from cops or explosives they made to fight with the police.
Huh.
Like the police would get out of the car and be like, get down, and these guys would throw something and boom, like the police car, like all the windows would blow out of it and stuff, and these guys were like, what the hell?
Yeah, because all I got out of it is like, oh, somebody threw a nail bomb in the marathon, and that was it. So
No, it was worse than it was a compressor or a pressure bomb. You just took a pressure cooker and filled it with black powder, which means it's like pure shrapnel. I mean, you saw the people from the Boston Marathon. I mean, they were legs cut off.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very powerful explosive. But these guys were crazy. I mean, they were bad news. And then everyone, it's because remember they put him on the cover of the Rolling Stone, the one who lived.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, these people aren't cute. They're terrible people that did awful things for dumb reasons. So, but yeah. Patriots Day is actually, just watch it. It'll surprise you. It's like, oh,
yeah.
I didn't know this about this. I thought the bomb going off at the Boston Marathon and like the multi-day manhunt was like, oh, they were just hiding really well. It was like hide and go seek. It's like, no, the stakes were higher than that. Unless the movie's like enhanced in some way, like they made it bigger than it was. But I don't believe, because I think I watched some stuff after, is like what really happened, and it's like, yeah, these guys were nuts.
I remember Deepwater Horizon was also like way better than I thought it was going to be, because I thought it was going to be some like weird like like the oil industry paid to make like their workers look in a good light, but it's not necessarily, it's not really about that. It's just like, oh, this they're lackadaisical with their safety standards, and then something bad happened, and then like it's just like this is the bad thing that happened. It's not necessarily getting into the politics of it, of the politics of we save money on the thin line of, or we destroy an entire ecosystem. So.
Well, the attitudes towards safety and responsibility in this movie in the movie Deepwater Horizon are spot on, because you have what's called passive aggressive safety enforcement, which is like, look, this is the safety equipment, these are the rules, you have to do it this way. Now don't be a fucking pussy. Kind of like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I've actually seen that many times myself, and I'm always the guy that's going to be a pussy, because it's like, well, if I die because of this, you're not going to like take care of my family, or they might say something nice at my funeral, but the lawyers probably won't even let you do that. So. But then again, oil operations, it's like billions of dollars of profit. So yeah, if you're going to be the safety coward, they'll get rid of you.
But yeah, Peter Berg, he did The Rundown, which is a year before this. Friday Night Lights, the same year as this. The Kingdom, which in a lot of ways is kind of like has a lot of like crossover with this movie.
Yeah, kind of.
I also thought that was just cool. It's like FBI agents like analyzing like a bomb explosion in a different country, and like,
In
oh, and they
Saudi
do
Arabia.
that. It's like, yeah, well, these are the people that do that, so why not? So,
Yeah, it was an embassy bombing. Yeah, that's who you would send.
um,
And the Saudis in the movie were very helpful. And it's like I'm glad these people are good allies of us because obviously this is a very helpful people and it's a very transparent culture. We're learning a lot here.
well, when I was a kid, the way I always thought about it was like, it's like you have the FBI, they're the federal agents. They work inside the United States, and the CIA were like the FBI that worked abroad. Because I was a kid, that's how I just like
Oh yeah,
I don't know what they do. So,
yeah.
um,
Sometimes they don't know either. So.
yeah. But then there's like that show FBI International. I was like, is that just the movie The Kingdom, but they just stretched out into a series? Like, I have no idea because I didn't realize the FBI works abroad. But I guess if you have skills and other people can pay for them, you can be lent out. So,
Yeah, Interpol is a lot of FBI people in Interpol
oh, okay,
because America is also like a crime vector for the world because we have the most money for our size and we're also a wide open easy to do business with country. So yeah, we get all kinds of criminal stuff going on here because we don't have like closed societies and things. So
it did Hancock, which I remember was an expensive movie, but nobody really liked it. I think it made a lot of money anyways, just because it's Will Smith.
and
Battleship.
I remember the days of Will Smith when he was marketable, where he started getting handsy at the Oscar.
Lone Survivor. That's another good movie.
It's a very depressing movie, but yeah, it is good.
Yeah, and like Deepwater Horizon and Patriots Day. That's kind of his recent stuff. I don't know his most recent stuff. I don't know what
Spencer
Painkiller.
Confidential.
Oh, that was. I didn't care for that.
We watched that for something,
Yeah,
I think, because we
yeah,
were just trying to do
yeah.
Boston accents the whole time. Ridiculous.
I think I didn't have any referential because I didn't realize that was based on like a TV show, right?
Spencer for Hire, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that like missed me completely, and it's not like I'm a big Wahlberg fan anyway. So even though he's usually pretty good in all of Peter Berg's movies, so
Yeah,
or at least he's reliable. Whatever. Anyway, so here's a guy. There's a guy who's like,
prays a lot now. He likes to tell you how to pray and stuff. He's really into that.
But yeah, this is all to point out that a guy who's like a character actor in this movie is a man who's also like is a big time Hollywood director. So that's just kind of funny. So, and that he was doing both at the same time. Um, so yeah, we'll go in. Yeah, I guess we'll get into Act One. Um, we see a gray-haired Vincent, played by Tom Cruise, which is this the only time Tom Cruise has had gray hair in a movie?
He had a very unique look for this whole picture.
I guess should I ask, is that supposed to be natural gray hair, or is that like a part of a costume for his job?
I don't know. I'm not. I don't think so because he gets pretty cut up and beat on in this movie. So if that
Yeah.
was some kind of prosthetic in the movie as part, I think that would have been revealed. No, I just think he was. This wasn't the action hero Tom Cruise. This was an evil person
Yeah.
who's his job is to murder people. Yeah, you don't come through that looking like a million. If this is a very different role for Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Is this his only villain role? I mean, other than I guess he's sort of a villain in Magnolia, but there's like he has redemption there, sort of, and then he is a villain in what's the Tropic Thunder,
Okay.
but that's a comedic villain role. So,
Yeah.
um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
this is the only unredemptive Tom Cruise role I can remember where no, he's just evil from the beginning. He's very psychologically manipulative.
yeah,
He tries to act like I'm going to give you advice, I'm going to help you with your life, and it's in the end, it's like he's just going to kill you.
yeah.
And he's not going to care. He's not going to think about it again. It's like, well, this is done.
Yeah, because I thought I remember this movie worked. It seemed more like the most odd, like buddy comedy movie or buddy cop movie. Just like they're not cops. And then watching it this time around is like, oh, there's no back and forth. There's no like, hey, we're friendly at any point. He's just relentless the entire time. And like you said, he'll manipulate you, but that doesn't mean he cares about you. So.
Yeah. He's a controlling person from the time he gets in.
Yeah. So yeah, he's walking in a crowded airport, which I assume this is LAX. This is an LA movie, but it kind of takes like a lot of different looks at LA. That's
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, yeah, I don't think I recognize any of the LA in this movie, especially
No.
like you don't like there are trains in LA, but I don't know where the hell they are. I think they're at like the outstretches of the city and like they don't go many places, but here they're a feature. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure where. Well, this is kind of like Heat. It's like we're going to show you the unshown places.
Yeah. But this is also like, before it became Mega City 1 too. So
Oh, it still was. Now it's just unaffordable Mega City.
yeah, but I think this is before like Anaheim was technically considered LA.
Oh.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been other like cities that just been absorbed by LA County now or whatever, however they figure that stuff out. So it's just huge. Like I don't because I don't even get the scale of it because you would assume that like, oh, California must be the largest city in the world. And it's like, no, it's actually like not even on the top 10 list.
Yeah.
But it's still just a huge thing. So but that's also one of the things where it's like, the population is like a bomb drop, or it's like it just keeps filtering outwards. So like even though it's like, well, the population hasn't grown, but like these skirts of it have. So, but then the city just keeps absorbing the skirts, and then eventually, so.
Well, it's like I forget, like Los Angeles itself. I forget how many millions of people live in the city proper, but it's nothing like New York.
Yeah.
But when you include what they call the greater LA metro area, it's like double New York. It's almost 20 million people. But you're talking about a huge geographical area.
Yes.
Where there's also like valleys and forests and stuff in between. What also, so yeah, technically it could be like up to 25 million people depending on how you define it.
Yeah.
But that's not one contiguous city.
No.
That's a bunch of suburbs. Which has kind of become the American model from the 90s on. It's like where I live, we had a realtor describe this once as like he's from LA, and he says, you live in like a Michigan version of Los Angeles. It's just a lifeless suburb with thousands of identical homes. No real community there. No one really knows anyone. And I was like, perfect. I feel so good about living here now. I validated the decision I made in moving here. So, yeah.
Vincent bumps into Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Who's just some guy with a case. I don't know if they're going for something here. It's like, this is Transporter Jason Statham, or if just people like Jason Statham at this time, and here, let's do a cameo.
They've never explained it. Everyone thought it's like, oh, this is his character from the Transporter. He's just transporting a briefcase, and they said no. Well, what is it then? And it's like, no, they just don't bother. Yeah. I think he was probably available, and it's like, everyone knows this guy. This would be quirky.
It's LA. He's probably in town.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Michael Mann commentary of this. He explained the scene as like, these are just two bad people meeting at the airport, engaging in business.
So yeah, they bump into each other and then exchange cases. Then we get a montage that's focusing on taxi service. Then we get Max, played by Jamie Foxx, which is like, yeah, this is kind of his full-on turn into dramatic acting, because he had like Any Given Sunday, but then you got, I think it was this, and then there's probably like Ray afterwards that was along those lines. Yeah, Ray was like the next. Oh, Ray was the same year. Okay.
Yeah, he had a busy time.
Yeah. But yeah, I must know them for like In Living Color and stuff like that, and stand up that's like politely good, but really I don't care for it. It's like, I like Jamie Foxx, and he's doing comedy, and I can't say he's doing bad, but I can't say I'm enjoying it. But I like Jamie Foxx.
Buy the album.
Yeah, because there's just something about like when somebody has like enormous amount of success and makes millions of dollars, that like it's like that's kind of the secret sauce to comedy, is that like you gotta be like kind of poor and mentally dysfunctional.
Yeah, got to be an alcoholic or something. Because the comedians everyone loves, almost without a doubt, especially the older kind of comedians, was like, it's always people like George Carlin, Roseanne Barr, people you just know, oh, they're damaged. I see the damage written on them. Yeah, that's
I mean, Jerry Seinfeld gets to escape that, but you know, it's just because he's
Jerry
more one of
Seinfeld just
kind.
has like so much raw intelligence. He can like pull. It's like I'm gonna come up with the wackiest shit ever, and you're gonna love it. I'm just gonna work it, like a madman. Again, not my style of comedy, but I can see why people enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, I always say like he was kind of a PG-13 comic, so it's like this is like technically well done, but I don't care for it.
Yeah.
It's like watching like somebody from Poland do skateboarding, where it's like, well, this is technically great, but there's no flair to it, and I don't feel anything for this character.
Yeah. Can't relate to this person.
Put a smile on, you dipshit.
Yeah. Act like you're skateboarding, not building the gallows you will soon be hung from. Have a little pep to your step, Jesus.
And I feel like with Seinfeld, the show, like maybe a lot of that magic was just now I'm forgetting his name, Larry. You guy who did Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, Larry David?
Yeah, I feel like maybe a lot of that magic was just Larry David, and then it's accidental on Seinfeld's part. So.
Well, yeah, because if you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's just like, oh, this is just Seinfeld concentrated. It's like, this is the Seinfeld we want, where everyone says fuck and they're all kind of and
well, yeah, because that's the thing. Like people are pointing out, because like I don't know, like Seinfeld's been saying a lot of like just stupid things recently, and and the stuff with his wife is super weird, and and then he has that like new Pop-Tart movie, which like nobody cared about, and he's like angry that nobody cared about. And then
what are people not getting about these Pop-Tarts? This was an important time in American history.
I almost feel kind of bad, because I feel like it was like a good time to put a movie out like that, because there's all these movies where they're like movies about products that are like critically acclaimed, and it's like, the premise to this is a well done movie, but the premise to this is like actually awful. It's like free advertising for a company.
Wasn't that kind of built off like the Flaming Cheetos documentary?
Probably. I
like,
mean, that one's a full up a lie, but yeah.
Yeah, I was like, there's a lot of like big idea stuff we could fill here with like, food stuff. It's because that was like a real story, I guess.
Well, as far as I know, it's mostly myth rather than real. Because the myth is like this janitor came up, this janitor with like Mexican heritage added spice to nachos, and then basically made a billionaire industry, and he got cut out of it because they could. And then
I'm talking about the Pop-Tart movie.
Oh, Pop-Tart movie? Okay.
Yeah. Because a lot of the subtext was like the introduction of a pound of sugar into every American's diet in the morning. It's like, this was kind of the subtext of like, well, we got sugar cereals and we know that's poison. What if we just gave them concentrated sugar in the form of a pastry? I mean, that was sort of the subtext. That wasn't what came out of it. And trust me, I didn't watch it because why? But I mean, unless I heard it's like, oh, it's amazingly dark. Literally the only movie I think I've watched this year that's like new was like Dune 2. Literally my theater experience. Nah, me and Grayson did something recently too. But
yeah, you went to the Mad Max
Furiosa. Yeah.
But I know there was that BlackBerry movie which had good reviews. There was the Nike Air movie, or the Air Jordan movie.
Yeah.
That was, like, as far as I know, was well reviewed. There's just there's been a lot of product movies that were like, why did this get made? And it's like, because the company paid for it. So. At least I think so. I actually don't know, because I don't think the BlackBerry movie was very flattering to BlackBerry, who I don't even know if they really exist anymore. Maybe and probably in some sense, but
I don't know.
um, but anyways, yeah. So like, with Seinfeld, it's like people love Seinfeld, and then after Seinfeld, it's like people didn't like Seinfeld, but they still like Larry David. It's like maybe that was the maybe that was the secret all along. Is really it was Larry David. Um. So yeah, Jamie Foxx does a function check on his taxi, which I guess is probably things you're supposed to do. But then somebody would call you a pussy, and then you just drive the taxi off.
Yeah.
So he checks the lights work, he checks all the blinkers work, and then brakes and stuff like that.
It just establishes about his character. He's a detail orientated
Yeah.
person and pays attention to
Which
things.
is just super Michael Mann. So
Yeah, it just works out better later.
He sets up his hack license. Isn't that what they're called? Taxi license? They're called hack licenses or something like that.
That could be.
I thought that's what it was. What is a hack license?
I always thought they were called medallions, but maybe that's the New York side.
Yeah, maybe. Hack license means a valid license to operate a for-hire vehicle issued by a city, county, town, or village.
Okay, didn't know that one.
Because I always thought that was that was the other term for. I know that the term hack as like somebody who just rips off something in Hollywood and then just like makes a version of it, like that's a hack writer. But then there's the other term of hack, like you drive a taxi. And then there's some like hack that's related to like criminal investigation or private eye stuff or something like that. I can't remember.
That could be.
I just thought that was hack license, interesting thing. And he puts this photo of an island up in his visor, which that will be important very soon. So. This is like you used to, if you had to drive a taxi, you had to get a hack license, which means you had to go through the government, and now you just Uber or Lyft. And you're not considered an employee; you're an independent contractor. So they cut to like a montage. There's a couple yelling in the back of the cab, which this is probably just fairly reminiscent of. What is the HBO Taxi series?
Taxi Cab Confessions?
Yes. The magic of that show.
Oh, yeah. Leading edge reality TV at the time.
Yeah, well, it's like it was just presented without framing. It's just like, here's people in a taxi cab. What does it mean to you? So it just seems almost brilliant now.
Well, just if you go back and watch those, you realize people are just as vapid and stupid now as they were then. It's not like it's gotten worse. It's the same level.
Yeah, they just had less. They had more anonymity to be vapid and stupid. So. Then we get more montage of time passing. Then we get Annie, played by Jada Pinkett Smith, gets in the cab. They make a bet on which way is faster to her office. They kind of have a pleasant conversation, and Max talks about his dream of owning. I wrote a cab company, but it's supposed to be a limo company. Is his dream.
Yeah.
You find out she's a prosecuting attorney. They talk about stress, which I figure out how she handles it. She doesn't handle it well, and then Max explains like the island picture to her. Then he gives her the picture. Dad just wrote, hack also refers to horse-drawn carriages in the 1800s.
Okay.
What was that doing? Okay. She leaves, but then she comes back and gives Max her business card. So this kind of sets them up. It's like, oh, he's going to have a hot date with a lawyer. So, which I don't know. That's, how many lawyers do you know date taxi cab drivers? So,
some lawyers have pretty screwed up lives.
Yeah, that's true. This is like...
It's like I'm going to marry you and we're going to be married, but I might be home like 2 hours a week if there's a case thing going on. So you're going to have to accept that about me. Yeah, I know some lawyers that are married to guys that work in factories and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's all in who you love.
I don't know. This is like I don't know. This is also like taxi cab drivers, like another one of those jobs that just got like lowered in value by I don't know, just assholes throughout the years. Because like you can make good money driving a taxi cab, but no one talks about like that can happen. So
Yeah.
I don't know what you got to do to make that happen. I don't know if like if you got to put the extra effort in or just like show up to the job every day. I don't
Work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
know.
And you're paying constant maintenance on a car because that car is just never the car is just being hot seated.
Yeah.
It just runs and run. You get out, the next guy gets in. So yeah, you're gonna need maintenance on that all the time.
But yeah, it's like, but I feel like taxi driver is like one of those jobs like that, and garbage man and like truck driver that are seen as like lower jobs. But it's like really like, well, I don't know how. It seems like businesses have made those jobs worse over the time, but they used to be like lucrative. Like, yeah, you can feed your family on this and have it. Hey, you can have a summer home with this job. So,
Oh yeah,
that and like a mailman, which that's like another one people told you like if you're a mailman, like you're like a scourge of society or something like that. It's like I did my 20 and now I'm retired at 42. So, damn, I guess I should have been a mailman.
yeah, yeah. Let me tell you, there's been a real job done on some people in this country by other people, by really, like just tradespeople,
Yeah.
electricians, pipe fitters, all those guys make good money. But they talk about it like they try to denigrate it like, oh, you're just going to be plunging toilets and stuff like that. I mean, it's like, no, they make pretty good money. The problem is it's not something, you can't do it into your 60s. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to be out on a job site just running conduit. It's like, yeah, you're not going to be doing that all the time. But
And also from the things I've seen, there's been a lot of, at least recently, it's like, oh, these starting wages are pretty bad, and there's a lot of turnover, so this isn't going great. So.
yeah, well, no, yeah, that's all the down pressure on everything.
Yeah.
That's just the whole kind. You want to know why people under the age of 25 just want to burn the whole city down? It's like, well, yeah, that's why they can't make a living. But I've always told people, just wait.
Well, and the training's bad.
Oh yeah,
and it's your fault somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, didn't you know this? It's like, why I'm not being trained in it because I knew it. I just go challenge the test and get my license. But and there's a bunch of nepotism involved in it too. So
yeah. I like to blame myself for a lot of my mistakes, but I feel like I've taken a lot of calculus classes and only one person has been able to teach me calculus, and I feel that's a burden on myself. It's like, if I learned calculus, I'd be a millionaire by now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, my experience
because then people would value my labor.
Yeah. Yeah, in my experience, I just consider myself very lucky and try to just kind of whistle and keep walking. I don't want to stop and look and think too long.
So then we have Vincent. We cut to Vincent makes his way through a parking garage and then into an office building, which we see him past Annie. So he's like casing the joint, presumably. I mean, I guess we wouldn't know that yet, but we've seen the movie before. So
yeah,
we saw the movie before.
Spoilers. Yeah. Spoilers, everyone.
We've seen the movie some hours ago, and I saw the movie when it came out. So I've seen it multiple times. Vincent tries to get a cab from Max, who's like lost in thought. So then Vincent just walks away, and then Max yells back at him in an apology. He's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, man. I'm good to go." Was there like more cabs there? I can't remember. Was there just a line of cabs, or was he there?
Yeah, I think it was a line of cabs outside the airport.
Okay. Oh, that was the airport. Okay, because is there office building right outside the airport?
No, I thought that he drove her off, and then went back. I thought he was going back to the airport.
No. Vincent's is in the same building that she goes into.
Oh, that's right. No, yeah, he was. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm sorry. Why did I think it was the airport? I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I mean, that just seems like a likely place that cabs would be at. So
well, if it's a big office building, there might be a bunch of cabs lined up out front.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. I guess I've never lived in LA, so I don't know what cab traffic is there. We know what bus traffic is from Speed.
Yeah.
um. Let's see here. Vincent Yeah. Okay. So Vincent. Yeah. Vincent gets a cab. He's like going through his tablet, which is just like I don't know what the hell this thing was.
Yeah, I was trying to look it up. I couldn't. I could find all the guns and all the cars, and not find out what this tablet was.
I
I'm
mean,
starting to
this
think it was a prop made for the movie.
maybe. I mean, this. Yeah, I don't like because you did have like those Palm Pilots at this time, so maybe it was just a bigger Palm Pilot because it had like the pin, which that you needed to use those the Palm Pilot. If you don't know what Palm Pilot is basically what your cell phone is now, but it was back then, but way worse, and you had to have a little stylus to activate everything on the screen.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, this is essentially doing what an iPad does, just worse. But also almost looked like an e-ink screen, but this is before that technology I think was even out, so I don't know what the hell's going on here. But yeah, it's an interesting little thing. So, I mean, it's like this guy's dangerous, but then he has like a nice suit and like expensive items, so you have to assume like he's doing well, but we actually have no idea. So, um, and again, this is like presumably this was just in the bag that Jason Statham handed him. So maybe this might not even be his. Like this just gets thrown away after the job's done because it's just evidence. So, yeah. Vincent's going through his tablet and talks about how LA sucks. It's just like a city full of million strangers that live next to each other.
Yeah,
Which
is kind of similar to what I was told.
yeah. I mean that's what I've always heard, which I can understand because it's like all people. Because like, I don't, you feel like the number one thing to go out to LA for is for like acting and stuff like that, which you have to be very self-centered to do that stuff, and you just get, and if you're a certain kind of delusional, then yeah, you just get lost in yourself, and everything has to be about you. It's like, what if it was millions of people like that? But I don't know, there's other things to go to LA for. I'm just not sure. I'm pretty sure there's cool music in LA that I don't know about that's full of self-centered assholes.
Yeah, sure, it's around.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a cool art scene of self-centered assholes. Whatever Banksy's doing. I don't think he's from L.A. It just feels like an L.A. thing. Actually, it'd be like an anti-LA thing. So you have to live in L.A. to really be the anti-LA. So, and then whatever. Oh, that one guy was singing about, and I love L.A.
Oh yeah.
Which I can't remember. That's not like a genuine song, isn't that? Is that song ironic? I can't even remember.
I think it's kind of both.
Okay.
It's kind of like, yeah, this is sort of a mess, but I love it. It's one of those.
Max talks about his 12-year temporary job.
Yeah.
So he's saying like his taxi driving job is just temporary. Which he doesn't say he has another job, but I'm guessing his other job is just this limo service that he's working on. So, do you think he actually has a second job? Is this his part-time job or is this his full-time job?
No, this is full-time job.
Okay.
He's trying to raise the money and work out the dynamics of buying, a Mercedes Benz and converting them into, kind of a luxury limousine experience.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Which is essentially he's a guy with a pipe dream.
Yeah. But here, the funny thing here is like, because like, yeah, Vincent is trying to get Max to talk about himself, but now, he's much more embarrassed to tell Vincent about his life story than he was to tell a pretty lady. So, but Vincent seems impressed with Max's skill and knowledge, and bribes him to be his cab for the night, which Max is reluctant, but then he accepts. So. Which is funny how he flashes. He just kind of like does this fan motion with money. It's like, man, is that fake money or can you do that with real money? Or is that just fresh $100 bills that can flap out like that?
It is cool how he did it. I like it.
I think I forgot the point. Like when he took Annie to her office, he won the bet. So this just shows off his professionalism that he knows, times and places and what traffic happens where and how to avoid it. So, because that's pretty. Even though Michael Mann didn't write this just seems very Michael Mann because all his movies are just filled with professionals, no matter what the job is. It's only professionals. um. So yeah. Vincent goes to an apartment, yeah, and then Max has to like park out back in the alleyway, and he gets food out, and he's like looking at like a brochure for a Mercedes, and so yeah, this is where he's like, yeah, this is a dream. um, Which do you think he's just like looking to buy one, or has he got to work out where he's got to buy? Because he always talks about like you got to get like people lined up, a client list, and you got to get all these cars, and so
He wants to buy a fleet of these things. That's kind of how it's like. I'm going to start out with one, and then I'm going to get two, and then,
yeah.
so yeah.
Um, and then a body falls on Max's cab. And then Max jumps out scared, and then I guess I should point out like this movie is shot with the digital camera, which this is a more elaborate digital camera because like at the time you had like 28 Days Later, but that was just shot on a prosumer camera. Like it's something you could buy that was cost like $3,000, but this is something like I think this is like a Sony digital camera or something like that. So this isn't something.
Thomas Viper film stream camera.
Okay, yeah.
By Thompson Multimedia.
Oh, okay.
In the early 2000s, it was parts as makers of feature films were turning to digital photography.
Which
the Viper influenced subsequent HD, Ultra HD, and HDR cameras.
Okay.
How much does it cost?
Oh, that's got to be at least like $100,000 or something like that. Well, I guess it could
First
be like
film
50
shot
grand.
on the Viper was Collateral, then Miami Vice, Public Enemy, Zodiac, Benjamin Button. Cinematographer Dion Beebe, okay, described the Viper as the primary camera in Collateral.
Okay, so
35 millimeter film was used only for overcranking.
Okay, huh? So maybe that's what maybe they're talking about. Maybe that's what the other cinematographer did, is that they had this one camera, and maybe the other cinematographer had the other cameras that were digital. Maybe okay. But the good thing about the thing you can do with digital cameras that you can't do with film cameras is that you can shoot in very low light and still get a lot in the background. So there's a lot of things here that like you could do in film cameras, but you'd have to light it all yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas here you can just take the natural light in and like it'll take it in. Now it won't necessarily be like super cinematic and like high contrast, but it's like, well, it has depth to it. So
yeah, it does make it look very stark and realistic.
Yeah.
Because the light it's picking up is just like the light of the city.
Yeah.
Like the ambient light of the city, which is what those places really look like.
Yeah.
So $8.5 million.
The camera? Oh, okay, that was way
in $2,000. But I don't know if that's the whole suite and all the supporting stuff.
Yeah. I think the Red 8 camera, you could get that thing for like $20,000. Because that was like the next big thing. Because I forget what it does well, but it can. There's something about its focal stop or something like that where it can emulate 35 millimeter photography.
Okay.
So that's what like District 9 was shot on. So.
Oh, okay.
And then a bunch of movies afterwards where it's like after the Red 8 came out, basically digital movies stopped having that digital feel anymore.
Okay.
Because here there's almost like a digital grain. Like there's something square about the edges of something that's like, this is digital photography. Because so like with film is like you expose the film to light through the aperture, and then the film reacts to different colors, and then that's what forms the image on your film. So what a digital camera does is it just has a bunch of really tiny sensors, and every year they kept getting smaller so they could have more of them. And basically, the smaller the sensor, basically the smaller the pixel that would represent on the screen. And if you get the pixels small enough, you can't tell that it's not film anymore because it's so small that there's not like that squareness to the picture anymore on the edges. So But yeah, basically now almost everything is shot digitally, but still people, I think, like Tarantino still insisted on shooting on film, and then um, why am I blanking on? Is the Christopher Nolan still insists on shooting on film, and then shoots stuff on IMAX too. Because IMAX, I believe, is still just all film. I don't know if there's digital IMAX or not. I think you probably could do that. I don't know. I don't see a reason. Just have a really giant sensor. So,
Yeah, that might be it.
um, but yeah, like on consumer cameras, like the sensors were so big, it's obvious that it was digital photography because things just have, you know, especially with movement, things would the way the screen would refresh, you could just see blocks and how it made up the picture, and then that's your digital artifacting, which film doesn't have that. It's got other things that are weird, but um, but also like you know, the other thing with digital, and I actually don't know if it's true, but the theoretical advantage of a digital camera is like, well, there's no film, so just keep shooting.
Yeah.
Also, like, we don't gotta check the gate to see if there's accidentally a hair in the gate that like got ran over the film. There's none of that. You don't have to process the film. Just send that shit directly to the editor and start editing. There's a lot of things that like, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of things that like production wise should simplify a lot of things, and then
Yeah.
over time it didn't. It just means you have less people working on your film now. So, which
Yeah.
doesn't
Not
make them.
simplified anything. It's just made everyone's job more stressful.
Yes. Oh, we can do this with a smaller crew now. It's like, oh fuck.
Well, who won there? Oh, the CEO. It's like,
um. So yeah, Max jumps out of the car scared after the body falls onto his cab, and then Vincent comes out. He's like not too worried. He's just kind of like bemused by the situation, and then Max starts picking up on things like, "You killed him," and Vincent goes, "No, I shot him. The bullets in the fall killed him," which I feel is like that's literally like the kind of um, excuse that Vincent uses in his head to absolve him of any crime he ever does. Like, I didn't do that.
he seems almost annoyed that anyone else would have a horrified reaction to it's like, well, what's the problem here? Just gotta rationalize this stuff. I didn't kill him. If I didn't do it, diabetes and heart attack would have, something.
Which, I don't know. Do you think that's like dad issues? Like why he'd even care to put up that argument rather than just be a stone cold killer?
Well, I think he feels like he has to try to relate to people in some way.
Yeah.
Because if he's just a monster, it's like people are just going to fight you at every turn.
Yeah, he's got to blend in at some point, so he's got to at least pretend to have emotions.
Well, he does unfortunately need other people because he's not omniscient, so he has to move around in a world with other people.
Yeah.
So he's always trying to dominate people or appeal to them. But yeah, inside now he's nothing. He is nothing. And he knows it too. He's aware of what he is.
Yeah.
Which would be sad if the guy had any feelings left about it, but he doesn't.
But yeah, we also don't know anything about him. It doesn't seem like he has a family. Like, why would he?
No.
It seems like he's not like if this person were real, he'd have to be making millions of dollars, right?
Possibly.
So why does he keep doing it? So I'm guessing the killing's what's really the appeal to it.
Yeah. Well, he's just the best at what he can. He doesn't need anyone's approval because he knows he's good at what he does by always, being this guy.
Vincent pulls a gun on Max and he forces him they grab the dead guy and put him in the trunk.
I like what he says because he like pulls the gun out. He's like, red light, Max, stop. Because he's like using these weird terms. He's like, put your hands down. Put your hands down. You're standing out here. This is weird.
Yes, I have a gun on you, but now you're announcing that with your hands in the air and put him down. Because I felt like he pulled the gun on him because he thought he was reaching for something on him, but then he doesn't have anything, so he tells him to put his hands down, but still has the gun on him. But Um, I like, yeah, Vincent washes the car with a water bottle, which is like, man, that water bottle must have been something. It just wipes the blood off that
Yeah.
taxi cab. So, um, yeah, and he throws the water bottle back with the body. You know, 'cause it's a trash can now.
Yeah.
Max tries to get out of the night, but Vincent insists that he stays his cab driver. He's like, "Yeah, hey man, I'll just leave. You can take the cab." And then Vincent's like, "Yeah, you won't tell anybody, right?" He's like, "Get in the fucking car."
Yeah. Yeah. I like.
It's like he almost gives him hope for a moment. It's like, "Yeah, you won't tell anybody." He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna get out of this." And they're like, "Yeah." Which of course, like you watch this a second time around, you're just like waiting for like, when does Vincent decide he's gonna kill this guy? Because I feel like the first time I watched this, it doesn't get till like the end of the movie you realize, oh wait, he's gonna kill this guy because that's what happens. But also there's, I guess there's stuff earlier in the middle of the movie they talk about this might have happened with another cab driver, so like we know that as a potential fate, but they just aren't
Yeah.
sure. So
Yeah. They kind of foreshadow,
yeah.
and it's pretty obvious. It's like, well, this is probably the only guy that's done that because it's crazy.
Then we cut to Fanning, played by Mark Ruffalo, shows up and finds the empty apartment of the dead guy, Ramon. He finds the broken window and calls the police. And the we find that Fanning's like a vice detective. So, of course, it's Michael Mann. Gotta have a vice detective. So that being the end of Act 1, because we know it's like, well, this guy's Vincent's hijacked a cab. They're out killing people. A detective's looking for them. That's the movie. So we don't know why Vincent needs to kill people. We will. So Act 2, Max tries to appeal to Vincent, but Vincent just tries to call him. Oh wait, yeah. And then Vincent tries to call him Max, but is also like firm with him to keep him working. So he's like, yeah, because he's like heavy breathing, and I think he also looks at his visor and he realizes like that he gave the island picture away, but then I'm just sitting there like, hey, dude, you have an imagination. Just imagine the island in your head. Why do you gotta see a picture? But I don't know. Some people have to work differently, but
That becomes it becomes a talisman
yeah,
after a while. It's like you don't need that to go to the place, but you feel like you need it.
yeah.
Like people wear religious symbols and stuff. You know what that is.
Yeah. Then they get pulled over by cops because his windshield's broken. The cops insist on impounding the vehicle and popping the trunk, which, I don't know what LA cops are like, but I feel like this is maybe beneath them. I'm not sure. There's a lot of people.
It depends. I know if you have like a commercial type or chauffeur's license, like the tickets are way more than they are just for civilians.
Oh, okay.
Because you have all kinds of extra safety stuff that you're responsible. Because you're on the road way more than a guy driving home after work.
Yeah.
So I know if you can like give them tickets, at least around here, it's like it's a lot more money.
Vincent's like insisting that like Max talk his way out of this, but then the cops just get called away for shots fired, so then they're able to get away. He's like, yeah, make sure to stop at the dispatch or whatever. So he's like, yeah, well,
Yeah, because Vincent's holding Max hostage with the lives of those two cops. He's like, get put in a corner. We're going to be putting more bodies in the trunk. So
he's like trunks full. So
yeah.
They stop in another alley. Vincent zip ties Max to the steering wheel. There's a dispatch call from Lenny, and then Vincent weirdly steps into like Max's defense as this guy's like, "Hey, what are you doing over there?" He's basically like Danny DeVito's character in Taxi.
Yeah, taxi dispatch guy. Yeah.
Here like Vincent pretends to be like some attorney, which I think he just got that because he saw Annie's card in the visor. I think he looks at that and makes that thing. But yeah, here it's just kind of fun. That's like everyone's like, "Why are you coming to my defense? Like, why are you getting on this thing at all? Aren't you just leaving evidence?" But it's just actually kind of a fun character moment because it's like, oh, maybe maybe he will survive the night. Like he has some humanity because like, why would Vincent care? Like whether the dispatch guy likes Max or not, but really it's just there to we need to we need to get it off this guy's radar so we can continue to go through the rest of the night. So, then we cut to like inside of an apartment. Some guy gets a call that there's a notary here to see them. So it's like, oh, okay, that's why. Because we see Vincent get out of the car with some papers. We cut back outside, and Max is honking and flashing lights to get people's attention. And then like some street thugs come up, and then like instead of like helping him, like rob him at gunpoint, take his wallet and Vincent's suitcase. This feels like an LA thing. It's like, what are you in danger? Let me put you in more danger.
And they see he's like zip tied to the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And they're like, cool, now's our time.
Yeah. Well, they do pause because they're like, give me the wallet. He's like, I can't. They're zip tied. Yeah, they like, pushes the gun against his head like extra hard, like like pussy or something like that. Like when the guy can't fight back. And then Vincent comes out to confront these guys, and then they pull a gun on him, and so he kind of puts his hands up, and they like disarms them really fast, and then like shoots them in like all one smooth motion. Like 2 guys, 5 bullets, 2 to the chest, 1 to the head on the right guy, to the chest. For a moment, picks up his briefcase and then executes him with the last bullet.
He's walking away.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said in the movie, I forget what the movie dynamics were. They said they wanted 5 shots in because Tom Cruise isn't actually shooting at these guys. He's just shooting, they're just compositing them in later. But they said they wanted it in like 1.5 seconds, and they want it to look controlled. And Tom Cruise, of course, did it in like 1.3 seconds. How was that? It's like even better. Because I guess I heard this movie was the first time Tom Cruise trained and actually fired a gun that fired real bullets, like in training. He'd only fired like movie blanks.
Yeah.
But they went out on a range somewhere, and it's like, now this is what shooting a real gun is like. Which I guess it bucks like way harder. It's like, damn, it's hard to shoot guns.
Yeah, because so with movie blanks, you have a little bit, but very little of Newton's second law. The thing that makes the gun kick is it's pushing the bullet out. If you're not pushing a bullet out, then you're not pushing energy back into you.
Yeah.
So you're all blank is doing is just providing enough energy to cycle the gun, which they do poorly most of the time anyway. So
yeah,
but yeah, there's almost no kick to a blank when you fire it. So, but yeah, here, especially since what's the gun he's carrying? It's like an HK like 45, like subcompact or something like that.
Let's see. H&K 45 Universal Service Pistol. So it's a full frame 45. Okay. Heckler and Koch, which means it's very expensive. Do not own any Heckler and Koches.
So yeah,
Glocks do the same thing for way less money.
But also, like, this guy shooting a 45 that close, and like, well, I guess it's close to that actually help you out. But like, he's shooting groups like in a quarter of a second that are an inch apart. It's like, man, this guy's good. So,
yeah, that's nuts.
I don't know if you can actually do that, but it's a movie, so you can have him do anything you want. So.
I mean, yeah, these are things like, because we shoot guns as amateurs and have fun with it, and it's like it's fun to play around with this stuff, but we're shooting from like a prepared position, like hands, and we're not drawing from a holster and just that'd be virtually impossible without this constant training.
Yeah.
And again, it's like the thing from what was that? Taken. It's like, yeah, you're developing a very specific set of skills for a reason. You can do that, so normal people can't do this. And if they can, they're living in a very dark world of their own making, where it's like, I need to be able to do this.
But this is also like the scene from this movie that gets like clipped and all that stuff, and this is in the trailer, and this is the scene that makes you go watch this movie. It's like, oh, I don't think I've ever seen this before.
It's about the optimum effective range of a handgun.
Yeah,
that's really about what they're made for, is what he's doing.
Yeah.
because they, sometimes they show like extended fights or whatever. It's like, no, not really, not that controlled. It's made to stick in the face and just pull the trigger repeatedly.
And then also like the shooting motion he does, the to the shot to the chest, one to the head. That's it's sometimes called the failure to stop drill, or it was originally known as the Mozambique drill, which sounds like a cool kind of name, but then but then eventually carries on racist connotations, so that everybody had changed the name. So, because whenever like a kind of slightly overweight white guy with like sunglasses and a shaved head kind of chuckles at something, you're like, oh no, this is racist now, isn't it? So
What was it originally called? Because we talked about it a while back.
I think yeah, you had like a history to it because you said like it didn't even actually, it wasn't even actually, it doesn't even originate from Mozambique. It was from somewhere else.
Yeah, I think it was the Rhodesian Civil War or something.
Okay.
Because they
Oh, is
had,
that what? Yeah, did you call it like the Rhodesian Triangle or something like that?
yeah, it had a different name because it was South African mercenaries and the French, and the South Africa was under weapons embargo because of apartheid, so all they could get were like FNL Browning high powers. So, and because of the dynamics of that gun and how they work, they developed that drill. It's like, yeah, it's just you got to fire in like a triangle 3 times, and then it was like, because it was kind of an underpowered, because they were using, that would be a 9mm caliber gun with just ball ammunition, not hollow points or anything. So yeah, you had to like, oh yeah, head, heart, chest, and you had to do it quick. Because if you're using a handgun, you're in a like a run out situation anyway. Especially if you're fighting in like some kind of jungle civil war. It's like if you're down to the gun, it means you're out of, your rifle's out of ammo or whatever. But yeah, that's that.
So,
It was developed originally to use underpowered weapons to like, this is how you target organ groups with a handgun.
yeah.
You don't fire once, you don't fire twice, you fire rapidly in succession in a triangular pattern.
So, and also like the mythology I was always told about it, like, or I guess word of mouth rather than mythology, is that it was about fighting people who are on drugs. Which in a lot of wars, a lot of oppositions are on drugs.
Amphetamines, cat. It depends on which era, which. But yeah, there was a lot of that.
I mean, that was one of the secrets to the Chinese and the Korean War was drugs.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you, yeah, you shoot a methed out person, they might not know they got shot, so you got to shoot them twice, and then even then, they might not react to it, and so your final shot is to the head. So it's not necessarily meant to be you need to fire all 3 shots, but that's how it's trained to be.
Yeah, it's how to hit organ groups. Because the best thing, well, from rifles, you learned rifles in the military. It's like, well, the pelvic girdle is your best shot with a rifle.
Yeah.
Because they cannot ambulate anymore, and someone has to drag them out of the conflict.
Yeah.
So it's like a double force. It's like shooting them through the head's nice, but then it's just a corpse.
Yeah.
It's not screaming on the ground for its friends to pull it out or something. So yeah, it's.
Well, I also like
pistols don't.
As we can see with Trump, the head moved a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas your pelvis, kind of the center of your body, kind of doesn't. It's not really like a swaying reaction where it's out of view and stuff like that. So it's actually kind of like always line of sight, and it's a very wide target. And again, hit it on the front, hit it on the side. It's even fucking worse. You're not going anywhere. So, and usually it's not body armor doesn't cover that. It's not vital organs. Again, that's why you have the failure to stop drill as well. Is not just if somebody's methed up, but if somebody's armored, because generally people don't have armor in the face. But if you shoot someone 2 times in body armor, they're gonna hesitate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like RoboCop where it's just gonna go. It's gonna be like being hit in the chest with a hammer.
Yeah, but I feel like this was like a almost kind of a sea change for gun stuff in movie, where it's like, oh yeah, this is how you do it. Like there's tactics, there's training to it. Um, and then I feel like that kind of went away, and then like of course, um, the John Wick franchise like made a whole like up that to an even new level. So
Yeah.
because this was following Equilibrium, which that's fun, but it's also completely ridiculous. It's like,
Yeah.
what if shooting was an art? It's like, yeah, that's cool, but
Yeah,
what if
what if a gun was just an extension of your fist and you had all these cool maneuvers, and then you had to not only learn those maneuvers but the counter moves. Then you can have the joy of a gun going off right next to your head as you're walking at the last second. It's like cool idea, not very practical, but
but yeah, what if you're doing an Olympic stage routine, but with guns?
and then we'll throw a samurai sword in too,
Yeah.
just for balance.
Um. So yeah, that was like a lot of flair, and then this is all like practical, efficient. This is all efficient gun work, which maybe isn't as cool sometimes, but here it comes off more cool. It's like that was quick, man.
It's also very brutal, kind of a brutal violence. It's very abrupt. No one's like thinking it over. Whenever guns come out in this movie, it's like, well, a lot of things end.
Yeah.
It's like there's no like, hey, let's talk about this or let's have a cool monologue. No, we're just shooting people and moving on. Now we're having monologues before that, but once the shooting starts, then it's over.
Um. So we cut to like they're filling up the taxi. Vincent admonishes Max for getting people killed unnecessarily. Which I don't know if Vincent believes this or he just knows that this is how he can appeal to Max. It's like, look, anybody you talk to try to get out of this, they're going to die, and it's going to be your fault. Which is very just like modern boss mentality.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard some version. I've met people like this, killing people, but they would. It could mean they could get ahead, but.
Then Vincent starts talking about jazz, which I don't know if this is like Michael Mann bullshit or not. What if?
I think it is.
Like, I mean, it makes sense, but like I feel like it's whenever there's just like somebody who's like kind of brooding and contemplative, and then like they like jazz, it's supposed to like fill in some blank, but it just never does for me. So, it just makes them seem more stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was the thing with like Bosch too, like the TV show. It's like, oh, he's a big jazz head, but there it's almost like it's endearing and comical at the same time.
Yeah.
But also, that's a completely ridiculous character who's like, oh, he's like a cop who like sold novels, and now he's a millionaire, but he's still a cop. It's like
He spent all his money on the house and
yeah.
lost the divorce, I think, was the deal.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, I guess. So,
I don't know how he's paying the property taxes, but don't ask. It's
he just constantly gets an advance on the next book he never writes.
have you ever seen these shows where people win like $3 million in the lottery? It's not like the mega zillionaire lotteries, but it's like, oh, I won $3 million in a local lottery.
Yeah.
Like that's what they have after taxes.
Yeah.
When they look at houses, they're always like, and these are sometimes people that have okay jobs. Sometimes they're people that just, I was on disability when this, so it's like, oh, they're buying the house or showing them a house. It's like $600,000. Like it has a pool. And it's like, why not to read the full 3 million? It's like, well, they can't afford to pay the taxes on that house year after year after year. Because a lot of these shows, what they do is they'll facilitate the purchase of the house, and they'll just set up a revolving escrow account, so at least have tax payouts for 10 years. Because I don't know if you ever had a house with a pool or anything, or like multiple levels, or I mean, I never have, but I know people that have, and like, yeah, you can get into massive like property taxes on those.
Yeah.
And if you don't stay, after a while, they can't raise them anymore, but you have to live there a long time, but they're still going to be high.
Oh, unfortunately, that's a problem I've never had. So.
Well, I mean, when the house is paid off here, like you'd think it's like, oh, well, he's going to be over that. He's not. It's like, no, I'm going to have to pay pretty much $300 because I owe so little on this house now. Is like once it's paid for, I just have to pay like $200 or less a month, and that by still the property taxes are going to be, you know,
Yeah.
$500, $600, $700 a month or something. And to some people, they laugh. It's like, oh, that's nothing. You should see what I pay. But you know, I also live in like, you know, a nice sunny low crime area in here in Michigan. So, well, at least the mile around me is low crime. Everywhere else is like you can hear the guillotines. But
um. So then we cut to the cops are looking over the scene of a potential homicide because they put the body in the trunk, so they don't know what's going on. Even though there's blood, there's glass, and there's some water on the ground, but the cops are kind of like, "Hey, how's this a crime? We don't even have a body." Which it seems like they're being like dismissive here, but like they seem to, after he brings in a little bit more evidence, they're like, "All right, we're on the job." But here they seem like incompetent cops for the moment, but then later on they're just on board.
yeah, they just don't have any imagination. It's like we don't have a body. It's like, well, yeah, that window didn't break itself.
Here there's also like, oh yeah, Peter Berg is what, yeah, he plays Detective Widener, so he's kind of the dismissive cop here, but it also seems like it's late and he just wants to go home, so maybe that's why it's dismissive. Then there's mention of another cab and a related string of murders, but again, like you said, they don't have the imagination here, that because that's like Detective Fanning's big thing here, is he has the imagination to discover what the audience already knows. So it's like you're on board. It's like, oh, they should listen to him, but they're not.
And then you watch like true police investigations where it's like really sincere people, but they like go to the wrong house. And it's like, well, we didn't find any evidence of a crime here. And like across the street, like there's a body laying in the yard. Like, oh, but at this address, there's a body in the yard. And then like, well, we saw a guy pulling out of here, but you know, it's like it's weird stuff that happens where it's like all these guys are really sincere and they're just like human beings being given bad information.
Yeah.
And it's like that's how the killer got out of the state. It's like, huh. But you wouldn't know any better either. Because you know, people watch crime like fiction and they have this first person omniscient view and they're like, well, these guys suck. It's like, oh, they don't have some 10,000 foot view that you do. So yeah.
Then we cut to a jazz club. Vincent listens to jazz and talks about like expertise and like improvisation. So this is him like comparing his job to jazz. That's where it's like, that's where like the jazz thing sort of makes sense, because it's like it parallels his job, but like a jazz musician is, you know, more admirable than a hired assassin. So
yeah, well, they bring more happiness.
Maybe. Sometimes it seems like jazz is just a runway to suicide.
Yeah, that could be. Very well. I was a runway to drug abuse, but yeah.
Yeah. Hey, half a dozen of one.
Jazz to me has always seemed like cool mood music. Like, oh yeah, like if I'm in a tavern somewhere and there's some jazzy tune being played in the background and I'm just contemplating, it's like, this is cool, but only as like ambience.
Yeah.
Never am I gonna like, well, let's get my iTunes playlist out. It's like, oh yeah, here it is, 11 hours of jazz to get me through the shift. Because you're right, it'd be like driving home, like, well, why don't I just crash freeway embankment at 150 miles an hour?
Man, I always know it's the dismissive thing to say about jazz. It's like, it's the notes they're not playing, but he literally describes it in a more flattering way here. Which that shit's like nonsense. It's like, you mean I gotta know this song inside and out to know that they're not playing the song, and then that somehow is amazing? Which I know on some level it's brilliant, but like I'm never gonna dive in to learn that. So I'm never gonna like Fish either, so like the band, not necessarily the meat. So
I've listened to 2 Fish songs. I sort of get it. It's like one of those things like, oh, you want to listen to your favorite band like jam for 15 minutes? It's like, yeah, I guess if I was stoned, I might enjoy that.
It's that and the Grateful Dead. Like I don't listen to the Grateful Dead either. So
There are some Grateful Dead songs from the '60s I sort of like. Again, ironically, or I imagine the song being played and something completely the opposite happening in real life, where it's like, oh, that would be ironic to use that song when this was going on, or that was going on. There are some good songs composed, but I don't listen to them constantly. Um,
Although they do have cool like T-shirts and cover art, so which
yeah,
that'll go a long
the Grateful Dead was one of the whole thing is just a vibe,
way.
which is something some people get. Some people, there's all kinds of this vibe stuff that people get into, and I don't, because it's like, no, I like to read books, I like to listen to music, I like to analyze things. I don't like, it's like, why is that cool? Well, it's just a vibe. I don't get that. But then again,
I turn off the thinking and then I let this fill it in for me.
yeah, well, that's the thing. I lack the imagination to do a vibe. It's like, no, I want to just read about something. I want to learn about something. I want to do something. It's like, no, this is just a vibe, man. It's like, I don't understand what you're saying. I understand that it makes you happy, so I'm glad you enjoy it, but I don't get the whole vibe thing.
The closest I think I can get to is just like David Lynch stuff, where sometimes it feels like you don't know, like you want to ascribe attention or intention to everything he's done, but sometimes it's just a vibe.
I like David Lynch because it always challenges me to, it challenges my patience sometimes. It challenges my ability to further imagine a world where why this is happening, because it seems completely random, and I'm like, well, did I miss some earlier clue as to why this is happening, or is this purely done for the art? And I have to ascribe that to myself, because no one's telling me. He's not doing director's comment. It'd be wild. You see, this means that, and then you find out the whole thing was bullshit, and he's just laughing at you the whole time, which I would appreciate that commentary. I want David Lynch's commentary on Denis Villeneuve's Dune. I want to hear that. Just because.
His name's Duncan because he likes potatoes.
Yeah, I would love that. And I thought it was really cool that what was the one thing? Oh, that and I promise we're going to get back to Collateral. That
we're on Jazz and Dune and Lynch right now. We'll get back.
Well, Christopher Walken played the Emperor in the second Dune, and then he also was in the Fat Boy Slim video, Weapon of Choice, which borrowed heavily from Dune in a few sequences about walk without rhythm and it won't attract the worm, and all that. And I thought, well, that's a cool thing. Now Villeneuve claims up and down, he goes, I had no idea he did that. And I'm like, sure, okay. You're moving into a realm of pretension that I'm uncomfortable with. If you're actually seriously telling me you didn't know that Christopher Walken was in one of the coolest video ever shot for a song.
He might have been busy at the time.
He might. I just don't believe it. Just don't say it out loud. You're just like, oh, I forgot about that. I forgot. Forgot I could believe. Totally not aware of it.
I haven't listened to music since Kraftwerk.
Yeah. Maybe that's true.
Because he's got to be like a decade older than us. So I imagine he like 70s and 80s were probably like his music.
From Quebec?
Yeah, Quebec.
So what's their big music? Because I imagine he was like into a lot of like.
Well, also he comes from a very like almost like a rich family that's almost like what do you call that, like a kings and stuff like that. So,
cool.
Like he's basically royalty. But
he's 56, so he's not that much
okay older. I guess he's not that much older, but he would have grown up with like 70s and 80s stuff, so.
Interesting. Anyway.
What has the AI let you down and tell you what Quebec enjoys?
I can't even. I'm not even going to start.
Okay. So yeah, Vincent like buys a drink for the trumpet player / club owner, and he tells a story of meeting Miles Davis, which this is like actually kind of like lighting up Vincent because he's like, man, that's amazing. I think he says something about like our friends and somewhere. I can't remember what he says. And the guy catches on that this was a hit. He also, this guy said he went like, had to give up trumpet playing for a while to go to Viet because he got drafted in Vietnam, which I don't know if that relates to like his involvement with the drug trade somehow, but probably.
He was on the Silk Road in
Yeah.
Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, very beyond on brand for Michael Mann. So, um, and then Vincent offers trivia as a way to like get out of like him killing him, and then so he asks where like Miles Davis was trained, and then he says he went to Juilliard, and then Vincent just immediately shoots him with a silenced pistol, which is like a 22 long rifle with a giant silencer on it. So.
Ruger Mark II,
Okay.
built-in suppressor. A friend of mine actually has this exact gun, not the one used in the movie, but one just like this.
Yeah. Huh.
It's a very big gun and still a lot louder than what you think it would be
Yeah.
for that size shooting a 22. It's pretty damn. It's not quiet. It's also very unwieldy because of its size, but weirdly enough, very accurate for a silenced gun.
Huh.
They put the sights on top of it right because the silencer is all one size.
Oh yeah.
So they put it on there, and you can plink with it pretty good. I wanted one. I just didn't want to pay the
$2,000.
Yeah, the $2,000 price tag that went with it.
I'm gonna shoot this once and never again.
Oh, we shot it a lot because
Oh,
we were
yeah.
shooting in the backyard, but it was no, I mean it was out in the country.
Okay.
Still. The only thing I ever got out of silencers was you don't have to wear like hearing protection.
Yeah.
And even then you probably should because they're still pretty damn loud.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so he grabs his head before he like hits the table. I guess not to not to announce anybody, because even though this is like a jazz club in L.A., nobody's there, and there's like kind of like one black waitress who kind of like weaves in and out of the scene, but he makes sure she's gone when this happens. And then Max is freaking out again because like, hey man, he got the answer right. But as Vincent is laying the guy's head down, he says he dropped out of Juilliard and then I forget went to New York and found some trumpet player and learned from him. And then Max is like, no, they got the question right, man. You should let him go. But then that's when you realize like, oh, there's never a right answer to this.
Yeah.
There's no getting out of this. So.
Yeah, this guy isn't Anton Chigurh. He's not going to flip a coin for you. He's just there to kill you.
Yeah, and then Max continues to freak out. And then Vincent just kind of like beats him up a little, like doesn't knock him down, just kind of like gives him a couple of punches and shoves him into the car, just to like get his attention. Then they get a call from dispatch about Max's mom, like worrying about him, and so then Vince forces Max to go see his mom with him. So then they cut to which is like almost endearing, but again, it's just like, no, this is to fulfill the cover. But then again, it's like, why does Vincent go with him? But I guess he has to stay with him to make sure he doesn't do anything crazy. So, even though he's
not there because he cares.
Yeah.
He's monitoring him.
So yeah, they're at the hospital. Vincent insists on flowers, and then he's like, no, she's not going to enjoy flowers. But he's like, she carried you for 9 months. Like, give her flowers. But it's like, but also when you find out that Vincent's mom died before he even knew who she was, it's like, okay, he like holds some ideal about mothers because he never had one. It's like, yeah, because I guess, I guess I was going to say he doesn't kill women, but I guess he's attempting to kill a woman at the end of this movie.
He would.
Yeah. They kind of cross paths with Detective Fanning, but again, this is just kind of like something for the audience because this means nothing to either of the characters. They wouldn't know him, he wouldn't know them, so it's like, but it's just kind of, it just builds tension because they meet Max's mother. Vincent kind of charms her, and then Max gives his mother the flowers, and she's like, "Why would you waste money on that?" And then when it comes out, like, "Oh, Vincent made me give you the flowers," and it's like, "Oh, you bought me those flowers? Oh, they're so beautiful." So you can see why Max has a contentious relationship with his mother because
yeah. No, he can't do anything right by her.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. Which I guess like actually in some way Vincent like responds to that. It's like, oh, we do have something in common. We can't appease our parents. um, and then Max takes a chance and grabs Vincent Case and just starts running off. And then Vincent gives chase. They end up in like one of those like walkway that go over walkway overpass that goes over like the giant LA highway. So it's like super long and it's like caged in except for just like one little gap at the top. Um, and so he's able to like Vincent chases him down, like puts a gun on him, and he's able to throw that case through the gap, and it just gets like destroyed in traffic. Um, and then Vincent like trips Max and knocks him on the ground, and then complains about like his prep getting getting destroyed, but doesn't kill him because now he needs him for other reasons. We cut to Fanning goes to the morgue to find his CI, but the CI isn't there. It's in the back of the trunk, but then the doctor points out like tight grouping of bullet wounds on a bunch of other dead bodies that are coming in that night, and so here like he starts putting things together. It's like, oh, there's a hired killer out there,
yeah,
which is actually this like an interesting twist about being a professional, because it means like him being good at doing this stuff actually gives him away. So if he's even better at this, he'd find a way to do it in a sloppy manner that wouldn't give him away.
yeah. You change it up.
um, which I'm not sure if there's any logic to that or not. Like, is that one step further? It's like, nah, I just need to kill these people and get out of here. I don't care if a coroner is going to think, huh, that grouping's too tight. This seems professional. Um, Fanning calls Widener and explains like all the connections where it's like, oh, this guy's a witness to this, my guy's a witness to this, and like all these people are mysteriously dead now. So now like Widener like wake because he calls him when he's sleeping and he wakes up. It's like, yeah, let's get on the case. This is something here. We got something here. So, we cut to Vincent gets off. Oh, Vincent's like on his phone, which he has. This is still in like the flip phone days, but he's got like this weird like, it like how would you say that? It like ratchets it out from the center, so it has like kind of like two dial pads on it, and then
Yeah,
there's like the screen is in
that's
the
one of those
middle.
texting phones or something.
Yeah,
Out with it was kind of unusual.
it was almost like a knife unfolding,
Yeah,
and then like and then but the middle of it's the screen, and so that just gives you more real estate to text, and so like that's the best he has to like for what's left of the info he has on his hits. Um, here's where him and Max talk about parents. Vincent jokes about killing his father, but said like no, he died of liver disease because he was an alcoholic. But yeah, here like Vincent just gives off a bunch of like. It's like I don't know if he went to therapy or he read a bunch of books about therapy and decided, yeah, I'm a therapist. I don't need this. But he's explaining like stuff like how you can't you're never going to impress your parents, so there's no reason to try or whatever. Like they extend their flaws onto you, and that's why you can never be good enough for them. So, but really, that's just like that's Vincent talking necessarily about his dad, who I guess never, approved of anything that Vincent did, and like beat him up so bad that he got put in foster care, and then they gave him back to his dad at some point. And then I assume at some point, like he gets old enough and he just joins the military, and then somehow like it doesn't become a career person and then ends up in contract killing. So I don't know.
yeah. I forget. Michael Mann said something about in the commentary. He was talking about like people like Vincent that they're just like they're processed as children through a system, and then as adults they have two paths. They can either go into the prison system and become criminals and go into the prison system, or they can go into the military. And if they have horrible enough tendencies, like, well, they can find work within and without, just as because it's supposedly like he's just one of these like just kind of mysterious international assassins that kills like mid-level people that might be testifying in the US for against drug kingpins or whatever. And He's like, yeah, because he even said, he goes, you don't know if these people are real, but you think they might be real. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I've been putting forth recently when we watch movies like this about like trained assassins, like taking on like heads of state, and it's like, well, these people aren't real.
yeah,
Because if like somebody assassinates a head of state, it's almost like one and done. Like there's never like a multiple chance.
yeah, you're not the guy who like, oh, he's the guy who shot like the president of France last year, and now he's going after like, it's
Yeah,
like
that
you
person doesn't exist.
you don't get to like, there's no day of the jackal in real life. No, if you do that, you're going to be gunned down by their security people. So, yeah, that is kind of funny.
We're like most assassinations just seem to be like chance, awkwardness, and pure luck, I guess, on the part of the assassin. But it's never like,
Well, I mean, the people that get away with it are like the state actors, like whoever that guy was that just died in Iran.
yeah,
Like, oh, they put that explosive in the guest house like months ago. They just
Yeah.
like put it in a wall, and they're like, well, he's there. Okay. And they just dial the number and it's like, let's get on a plane. It's time to go.
oh yeah,
So,
when you got a think tank to like kill people,
yeah,
like the CIA and stuff, or even like what was the Israeli version of that? But
Mossad.
yeah, that's understandable, but that's like always a different rotating group of people.
Yeah,
But
that's not the same guy. That person would be very dangerous and probably killed by the government that employed him. It's like, oh, he's ready to retire. Yeah, we can't let this lunatic walking around without a leash. So yeah,
um but yeah, I don't know, but I don't know, it's still a captivating thing that just like, I guess, one person eluding like an entire infrastructure trying to stop them. So I guess Vincent does have an infrastructure on his side, but they're not reliable except for the information they give him. So
yeah, he's a subcontractor. He even
yeah,
says that. He's like, I just do these jobs. No one knows who I am, and they pay me.
yeah,
And which makes sense, because the first rule of assassination is assassinate the assassins. Because when you hire someone to kill someone, they permanently can blackmail you
yeah.
with information. That's why it's always like state actors that do this stuff, or Hellfire missiles ending.
Let's see here. Yeah, Max explains his limo company dream some more, but essentially, like, what gets out is that he's stifled by perfection. Because like Vincent's like, "What's stopping you? Just get a loan and start doing it." And then he's like, "No, it's got to be right." It's like, no, man, it's never gonna be right. There's never gonna be a right time. You're never gonna have the right money, so you might as well do it and just fail or succeed, but just start doing it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. So,
Yeah.
Which is very true.
Oh yeah.
Which is why we started this podcast.
Why we started is why we succeeded.
Yeah, didn't wait for the perfect moment. Just started doing it,
Yep.
and here we are at the top of our game.
We're still doing it.
Then we have Max is being sent into a club pretending to be Vincent to meet some guy named Felix. Then there's a couple of people watching surveillance, which this is Bruce McGill, and I don't know the lady here. I didn't pick that up. Bruce McGill plays Pedrosa.
Yeah.
Which I guess these are FBI, which I guess I didn't figure out till like way later on when they get shot. So, which I think maybe the last time we saw Bruce McGill when he was playing like one of the crazy conspiratorial friends to Sonny Crockett in the Miami Vice episode.
Yes, I believe. Yeah, that's what like, he's a character actor you've seen everywhere.
Yeah, you've seen him in a bunch of stuff. So I think he's still doing stuff.
He's 77 years old.
Okay.
So yes, probably.
I mean, he's like, it's like, he's in bad things, he's in good things, but you still like him.
Yeah.
Then Max gets stopped by a bunch of security as he goes in the nightclub. He asks for Felix, and they're like, we don't know anybody like that. And then he says like, say Vincent's, or he says he's Vincent, and then they let him in. Then we cut to the cops come in and meet with Pedroza, like to coordinate with their investigation. Because at first I thought these were just like, I thought these were like the narcotics guys in the division or something like that. But I guess Fanning's already Vice, so yeah. But somehow they get wind that like they're stepping on an investigation, but like there's something going on tonight that's like they need to like um they need to act. They can't just like gather more evidence. um Max is taken through like a oh wait first the cameras Fanny notices the busted cab, and then they grab its plates and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, this is the guy. Max is being taken through like a Mexican cowboy club that's like doused in neon
It's
lighting.
a very weird like combination of things.
Yeah. Um, which I don't maybe like I don't know, maybe some of the digital photography makes this like look a certain way, because I remember like basically how this scene looks is basically how the entirety of the Miami Vice movie looks.
Yes.
um
Now, this is called Michael Mann's, like this and Miami Vice, and what's the other one?
Public Enemies.
No, it's hold on, I'll look it up. Go ahead.
Um so yeah, we're introduced to Javier
Oh,
Bard.
sorry, it's Collateral, Miami Vice, and Black Hat,
Oh, okay.
considered his 21st century movies.
Oh, okay. All right.
Two of those movies were cool. One of them was weird.
Actually, I don't. Yeah, maybe My Vice is only cool. I don't remember that being good, but we have it on the list to rewatch the director's cut
Oh yeah.
because I've heard it like significantly changes the movie. I won't believe it because I never believe anyone when they tell me a director cut significantly changes the movie, but we'll see. So.
Yeah. Some people just want it to.
They didn't show you the real movie. The studios kept this out of your brain. Otherwise, you'd rebel and have feelings. Sure. Yeah, Harvey Allen Bardem is Felix, which like I immediately recognize him because of his voice here, and I was like, oh, because like of course me and lots of other people didn't know who he was till No Country for Old Men. So,
Yeah.
which
That'd
that's
be cool if he was like, "What can I do for you, friendo?" It's like, oh, whoa.
he always talked that way. Or is that the exact dialogue from the
That's
book?
the exact. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what's the guy's name? Um, totally.
McCarthy?
Yeah, that's Cormac McCarthy. That's Texas Shakespeare.
Okay.
That's his. The people actually, most of that movie is exactly how people talk in the book, which is a combination of like this is hick and very insightful.
Now, wait, is the book also called No Country for Old Men?
Yes.
Okay. I thought I wasn't sure because I know you always talk about Blood Meridian, and I couldn't remember if that was No Country for Old Men or if that was a separate thing.
No, Blood Meridian's like the most psychotic, evil Western you've ever. It's actually an emotionally disturbing book to read. And I'm someone who rereads the Gap Cycle every 5 years. So it's like, yeah, wow, this is nuts. I mean, it's not disturbing to me, but it's like, well, this will never get. Because they always tried to, it's like, we need to make Blood Meridian into a movie. And it's like, oh, okay. Everyone's going to just flush their careers on that one.
Then we cut to the cops are figuring out that all the people getting killed are witnesses. Then we cut to Felix is annoyed by Max like wanting the prep list. And he has some weird story about like Santa Claus and stuff like that. That's like
Santa's helper.
Yeah.
Dealing with the bad kids.
And leaving like a donkey statue on the door, and then if they don't change their minds, he'll steal them in the middle of the night. Which I don't know if, what, to work on toys, or is he just going to kill them? I don't know.
Yeah, we're not clear on that, but it's a Mexican version.
Yeah.
Mexican version, so it's like, well, this is going to be dark. It's like, how do you think Santa would feel if his helper lost the list?
But then Max, who's like kind of been obviously nervous this whole time, now starts like playing his role and starts to improvise. So he starts to like act more like he's Vincent, and then he convinces Felix to like get the info he needs because it's like, hey man, I don't need the whole list. I just need 2 more. And it's like, oh, okay. So then he capitulates.
And then he tells the guy behind him, he's like, if he keeps touching his gun, I'm gonna
beat him to death with it.
hand and beat him to death with it. And it's like, well, that's quite a bluff because Max doesn't have those skills. Okay, well, he's got to sell it. But see, Max pays attention to detail. He knew the guy was touching his guns. Only a trained killer would recognize. So there you
go. But Max walks out of there with a USB stick of info. Felix tells his guys to follow him, and
remember why he does stick the knife into Vincent a little bit though. He's like, for my mistake, I want to offer you a discount.
Oh yeah,
25% off my fee, and of course Javier Bardem is like, this is very generous, and it's like, nah, make it 35. So he does like,
yeah,
surprise.
Yeah, that's that's gonna cut off the. I imagine he got an upfront fee, and then there's a back half fee for delivery, so that's gonna be cut off. So. Felix tells his guys to follow him and kill him if he screws up the job, which seems weird. It's like, why don't you just send your guys to kill them?
Yeah, I was gonna say, now you're exposed. You paid for anonymity. Now you're yourself, but it adds an element of cool.
Yeah, we get a funneling start to happen where everybody starts to converge, and it's like, oh, something's about to happen. So, and it does. So, Max gets back to the cab where Vincent has like taken apart like the cab computer off the front desk so he can like look at the info on the USB stick. Let's see. Oh yeah, the cops start chasing down Max. Yeah, they're like getting ready to like. Well, they're not like chasing him down. They're getting ready to go out and get him, because they still think that, oh well, we just heard him say he was Vincent, and now we heard him like talk about this deal he's gonna make. So they think Max is Vincent. So now he's purely set up here. But Fanning thinks they have the wrong guy. It's like how long has this guy been driving cabs? They're like 12 years. It's like now he's suddenly assassin. You know, just yeah. Then we have like kind of like we have some montage of the cops and the cartel all prepping for a firefight. Like everybody's like loading up their guns and function checking everything. So they're all about to converge on Club Fever. Then Vincent tries to get Max to call Annie because he feels bad that, you know, he's probably going to be dead by tonight. So it's like, we might have something good. So, then they see like, are these coyotes or wolves crossing the street in the middle of LA?
According to Michael Mann, they're coyotes.
Okay, that'd make more sense.
But coyotes and wolves are essentially the same thing.
Okay. I just usually think of coyotes as being smaller, and these kind of seem kind of big, but yeah. But you know, you can also get mountain lions in LA. That'll happen. They're always mountain lions are always just like tackling a runner and killing them in the middle of the day. So
there was one in Los Angeles that like it had a Twitter. What they did is they tagged it. And of course it was, you know, of course the people were writing like it's Twitter, because I forget what its name was. I think it was Geo316 or whatever, but they just called it Geo. And it was like kind of like the city of Los Angeles's mascot. It's like, oh, I'm over here now and I'm over there. It's like, I wish global warming wasn't ruining my habitat. You know, say weird things. And then finally it just got so close to like, it was near this neighborhood, and they just quietly sent the police out and killed it. You never hear about it anymore. But it was like, oh, these people are so weird.
Geo crossed the Rainbow Bridge today.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all like, I think they're playing. I think the Coyotes come out. I think they're also playing. Oh, what was the follow up to Soundgarden? It was Audio Slave. Yeah, Audio Slave.
They're playing Shadow on the Sun,
which I feel like was a great song at the time, and now I don't care for it at all.
No, yeah, it was used in a couple. It was used in a couple movies and video games.
Yeah,
it was always in video game trailers. shadow on the sun. You know, it's like a great like guitar solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's like, yeah, I don't want to hear that.
But yeah, here's
Since the guy who sung it killed himself, it's like it makes it even worse.
oh, did Chris Cornell kill himself? I thought it
Yeah,
was
I think
just a
Chris
drug
Cornell
overdose.
was the lead singer in Audio Slave. I thought I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
I just thought he died of a drug overdose. I didn't know he killed himself. So.
He killed himself in Detroit. He hung himself,
Ah, okay.
which like that happens in Detroit.
Well, if you're gonna do it somewhere where it's you know you got to do it there. It's like you got to live amongst your own.
It's music. It's a city of music and light and sadness.
I see. You just listen to too much jazz, man. So
That's
it's
what happened.
just the highway to suicide.
The weird thing, I don't know. I don't want to repeat things that maybe are internet rumors, but I'm going to anyway. The weird thing I heard was like he had, when they talked about drugs in his system, he seemed to have like an extra amount of antidepressants.
Okay.
Like he double dosed on antidepressants or something. Because everyone was like, "Oh, was it drugs or something?" Was like, well, he was taking antidepressants, but he took like an extra amount. I heard. I don't know if it's true.
Okay.
But I've heard the thing is like if you double dose on that stuff, or like you know how they advertise antidepressants and the warnings, it's like may cause suicidal thoughts or ideations or
Yeah.
something. It's like, why is that? Isn't it the opposite of that? But it's like, no, what it does is it lifts the sadness enough to where it's like, now I can complete my mission. It's like you got to be careful. It's like thinking about killing yourself, but you're too sad to be motivated to
See
kill yourself. But you rip the sadness away, and it's like, yes, give me the rope. And it's like, whoa, this is
I have this indelible fog that's getting in the way of me accomplishing my goals, and now it's been lifted. And goal number 1, suicide.
yeah. I felt bad for years, but now I'm standing on a chair in my kitchen. That's the thing about guys my size. You're never hanging yourself on anything less than
just
like
a doorknob, man.
structural bearing beam because it'll just pop off and then you'll be disappointed. I would never choose self-strangulation as a death, though. Screw that. And we're not talking about this. This will get us thrown off of the YouTube. I don't like about
that. But yeah, anyways, yeah, they're supposed to. Yeah, we got this song playing, and they're supposed to have like some kind of catharsis. Like, oh man, what are the animals doing? I don't know. Well, do you get anything out of this? I thought this was just cheap. It probably means something. I don't know.
I heard this was accidental and not planned.
Okay.
They just saw these things on the road, and it's like, let's film this. This looks cool.
Yeah.
But then there was also kind of the subtext where Vincent's hair and suit, he was supposed to kind of remind you of like a gray wolf, like just someone who is like, oh, he like wolves are cool to like touch and like they look like dogs, but they're just killers. And it's like at any point they could just decide to kill you. And it's like that's what this guy is too. So I heard this was incidental. I don't know if that's story.
That makes total sense to me. So yeah.
Okay.
I am because I mean that's some full Verhoeven Effect stuff where it's like sometimes people like think something's planned and intentional, and just a lot of things in movies are just pure accident. It's like, oh man, why'd you think to do that? It's like, I didn't. We just had the camera rolling.
Well, it does make sense because in your mind, you're always trying to frame a scene in a certain way. And then this organic random things happens and it's like, perfect. Now, I don't know if it was filmed like the night of the scene or they were filming something else. And it's like, let's get these 2 coyotes and we can mix this in later because this really looks cool. Because their animals' eyes are shining back at us. That's always freaky.
Yeah.
And it's like they look very predatory, and we're this is perfect. This is money in the bank right here. We don't even have to work for it. We don't have to get drugged, trained coyotes and a coyote handler out named Tom who makes everyone kind of nervous because he's a little crazy with some of the ladies on the staff. It's like we don't even have to deal with that shit. We just film this.
I remember one time we were filming a thing for a comedy routine that never got edited together, and I don't know if it would have been funny how we edited together, but we had a scene in the show where because all the costume I had is I had a Sylvester the cat costume that we put somebody in, holding a sign that says "I'm not Ben Affleck." And then while we're filming the scene, just a school bus pulls up in the background and kids start getting out. And like, I don't know if this means anything, but it's production value now.
Yeah. Look awkwardly at the man in the costume. Keep moving.
Can you cry for me? It'd be beautiful. You could cry for me. That's David Lynch trying to direct a child in the last season of Twin Peaks.
Did your dad ever hit you? I want you to remember that when we're filming this. Don't worry, we'll fix it in post. Fuck it. Roll.
What the fuck's with this time schedule? We don't have time to experiment anymore. Where the fuck is Mark? Let's see. Then we cut to Max and Vincent make it to Club Fever. The cops are close behind, also like the cartel guys. The club is extremely crowded. We got like Ready Steady Go. I think it's by Paul Oakenfold is the band.
This is the Korean version of Ready Steady Go.
Oh, okay.
Singing it in Korean.
Huh.
Almost sounds cooler in a way.
Yeah. The cartel's working their way through their crowd. Vincent attacks a guy when he sees him like touching his ear, so I'm guessing he's like one of these like bodyguards. Is one, yeah, because now that you tell me this is a Korean version, I'm guessing the guy on the hit list must be Korean then. Well, I guess must isn't necessarily a thing, but like,
no, he's Korean.
Okay. And then he takes out another bodyguard. Yeah, here he's not shooting him, so I guess because he's not shooting him, nobody reacts to anything he does. It's like,
yeah,
that's just body movement in a crowd. Who knows? Like, what the hell is that? I don't know if he's killing these guys, but he's hitting them really hard, and he's incapacitating them at the very least. So it's also like when he knocks a guy down, and you see him kind of do that like stomp and twist, and it's like you don't see anything. It's like, what's that doing? If he's
I'm assuming he's crushing their windpipe with. The
okay,
heel.
that's the only thing I could think that would be useful.
But the thing is, when you do that, they're not gonna be able to yell or scream, but they're gonna convulse and buck like a horse. I mean, people are gonna notice that unless you're doing it so. Because a lot of people are like, oh, he's doing a neck breaking move. And then you like are shown how big that vertebrae is. It's like, yeah, a gorilla might be able to do that neck breaking move.
He takes it. Yeah, so he takes out that bodyguard. Then he human shields a third one. And now I think he has his gun out, but still nobody's reacting to it. Pedroza spots Max and calls him Vincent. The FBI comes in. They start coming in to like, I think, protect the Korean guy. Max says he isn't Vincent, and then the FBI agent like wrestles a gun, I think with one of the bodyguards.
Yeah.
And then shots get fired. The cartel guys try and kill Max, but then Vincent takes them out, so now he's like protecting Max, which is like, hey, is he good to me now? It's like, no, I just need you, man. It's like, you're the closest thing I have to a friend this night, even though I'm going to kill you. I think like a bunch of FBI agents get shot here because like Pedroza takes like a shot to the leg, and so he's not dead, but he's just out of the movie. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Vincent gets stopped by some bodyguards, and he like pulls out a knife and then starts like killing these bodyguards with like knives and sticks and stuff like that. And then eventually gets the guy on the kill list and like just shoots him dead. You know, again like to the chest, one of the head. In the midst of this, Fanning grabs Max and gets him out of the building. Where Max is like, "Hey, I'm not the guy." He's like, "Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm the one person that believes you." And then like they start to get out the back of the building, and then as Fanning comes out, Vincent just shoots him in the head, and so he's dead. Well, no, actually, does he shoot him? I know he shoots him in the chest. I thought there was gonna be something like, oh, he's wearing an armor, but no, he's just dead. So all your hope is gone for us. The one guy who believes him's now dead. All the FBI agents are shot, and the cartel guys are dead. So, Yeah, they get back in the cab, and as Max like drives out, he just kind of like he's so defeated, he just kind of like side swipes a bunch of cars on the way out. So.
Yeah, he's doing like tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage to cars.
So I had that being the end of Act 2. We got Act 3. The sky is full of choppers, but I guess nobody got the hint to look for this cab because they're directly looking at it and don't say anything about it. So, Vincent and Max argue. Vincent insists he's just killing bad people because that's just how he's able to convince himself of these things. Max calls out Vincent for just, I forget what this is about. But yeah, this is basically where, I think this is where, I forget what, no, I just wrote they calls out each other. Now I don't even write what they're calling each other out. But I think this is just like Vincent's, Max is telling Vincent like he's just convincing himself that he's a good guy when he's not. Well, actually, he knows he's not a good guy, but he's just able to like, it's like, this is something bad. You probably shouldn't do that. And then Vincent basically just calls out Max like, your dream is bullshit. You're never going to do it. So, then Max speeds up and runs a red light, so now he's being defiant as much as he can. Then Max wrecks the car with a gun to his head, so that's kind of brave.
Yeah.
The car gets turned upside down. They come to after the crash, which I guess actually like what Vincent didn't have a seatbelt on, so he kind of takes the worst of it here. But then he's fine, so whatever. But I guess mostly what I did is that Vincent can't find his gun now, so he just I like how he just like grabs a piece of metal and just kind of like pokes and like taps at Max to try to hit him as much as he can, but it's awkward, and then he just gets out of there as he hears the sirens coming. A cop pulls up to the scene. But then the cop's there to help him. He's like, "Sir, you've been in an accident. Like, need you to lay down." But then he finds the body in the trunk, and he's like, "Oh no, this is something different." And then he starts to arrest Max, and then Max notices like Annie's on the hit list because like his, he sees it on the not the tablet, but like the taxi's screen thing or whatever that has Max's, or has Vincent's like info on it. He sees that she's on the hit list, and so Max trips the cop and then cuffs him to the cab. Then he grabs Vincent gun and runs on foot to Annie's office. He steals a cell phone on the way over. He's just holding a gun on somebody. Give me the damn phone. So, he tries to call Annie, but the reception is bad. Which I guess that's how phones were. How the phones were, how phones are, how they always will be. Sometimes they just don't have reception. So, but especially in movies. But I don't actually like. There's a lot of tall buildings here, and I'm guessing that probably doesn't help reception unless they have antennas on them. So, which some do. So, because Vincent gets inside the office building, Max gets a hold of Annie and tells her she's in danger, but she's confused by the call because she's like, "Wait, what are you telling me?" It's like, "There's this guy. He's killing people. He's coming after." He's like, "What?" So, which I guess anybody would be confused by that. Vincent gets into her office, but she's like in another room because you see like the Chinese left on her desk, but she's in like a library, like looking up stuff for her case. Max is able to spot Vincent and Annie like in the building from the outside. He tells her Vincent's like 2 floors below. The cell phone, of course, runs out of battery because, of course, that's how these things work. So, but also it's like the phone she's on is like linked to her cell phone on her desk. Which I guess that's something you used to do. I've never done that before. You ever like linked your cell phone to your home phone or anything like that?
Yeah, I used to be able to do that with what they call those VoIP phones.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to have an important job to do that. I've never had an important job. No, I'm not doing that because no one's calling me like we need the oil changed. So I was doing at the time. So
Vincent starts whacking away at some electrical equipment, which I don't know. This happens in a lot of movies, but I'm just like, I'd be fearful of that, man. That's a great way to get yourself killed. That's not like low electricity. That's not low volt electricity. That stuff will kill you.
Yeah, the electricity only makes sense if you're like the Terminator attacking a police depot, where you just rip the power cord out of the wall and jam it into the fuse box so all the lights explode. It's like that only makes sense if you're a Terminator robot.
I mean, he only does this because he tries to pull the disconnect, but the disconnect has a lock on it, which the first strike with the axe doesn't break the lock, so then he just like breaks the conduit. So, I now know stuff about buildings, so now that gets an extra like look at like why are they doing that? But so I don't know. It's like probably the most dangerous one was in Die Hard, where he just takes a chainsaw to all the conduits.
Yeah, for an entire building.
Yeah.
But that was a rotary like wheel.
Yeah.
That was non-conductive.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I wouldn't do it, but no, it's non-conductive. Like, yeah, you show me. I'll watch from like 10 feet away.
Yeah. Arc flashes don't happen at all.
Yeah. Yeah, this Hawaiian shirt, believe it or not, is not a high calorie suit that will, this will just bond with my skin instantly. So I'm going to stand way over there.
Max is running again inside the office. Vincent's able to cut the power to the floor. Max finds a dead guard, which Vincent killed him. Now here's something. I have a question for you. This will come up almost immediately later. Does Vincent have a backup gun, or did he take the gun from the guard?
Took the gun from the guard.
Did he take an extra mag?
No.
Okay.
I just think he has the one magazine.
Okay, well, I'll come up later. Well, okay. Do you think the magazine he pulls out, is that the wrong magazine for the gun he has?
Oh, in the train?
Yeah.
I think it's empty.
No, it's got bullets in it.
Oh, maybe it was the wrong one. I don't know.
Oh, we'll get to. I'll ask you because I found an answer that seems sort of conclusive, but I have questions. So.
Okay.
And Annie like moves in the dark, and you can see like Vincent's form in the window. Max spends some time like trying to break a window, which this is almost comical because he tries to throw a trash can at, and then he tries to shoot it, but then he's like, "Oh, the safety's on." And he's also like holding his like hoodie over his head to like not get the glass blasting in his face. It's like, that's good instincts. I've never shot a window before, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have any experience with that either.
Vincent is about to shoot Annie as he has her like caught, like, but then Max shows up and Vincent basically dares Max to shoot him, and so he does. Then he kind of like, is this like, does he hit him in the cheek, or is it just a graze across his face that he hits him with?
I think it's a grazing, like a Trump earshot.
Yeah, because
like
he's still able to
whistles by enough to where it's like either the wake of the bullet and the shock wave is enough to break the skin, or the bullet just grazes it and kind of does that weird curvy thing.
Yeah,
bullets do sometimes. We'll call that a Trump shot. We're gonna coin a whole new movie critique here and win lots of friends doing it.
Annie and Max get on an elevator and they make it to the ground floor. They're going one way, but then like he ends up like, no, we need to go this way, and so the chase leads to a train platform, which again, not something we associate LA with. They do have trains, but like, I don't think this has even been in movies before.
I looked it up. It is called LACTMA. Los Angeles Metro Rail and Busway.
Okay.
Or no, what is oh, that would be Los Angeles Metro Rail and Trust Bus and Train Authority.
Okay.
Has about 900,000 people riding it a day.
Okay.
And let's see, where is it? It's in Los Angeles County. Give me a map. But I did look it up, and I also found out why we have 2 cinematographers on this movie, but I'll tell you that after we're finished talking.
Okay, all right.
I've been busy over here.
Okay. We're asking questions, and they're getting answered.
Yeah.
So yeah, Max and Annie sneak on the train. Vincent, like, there's like two trains show up, and they're like, one's upstairs, one's downstairs, and they're crossing a T. So he has to like figure out, all right, which one do I want? So he guesses the right one. Um, Vincent makes his way through like from the back of the train. He's like working his way through the front. Max and Annie like run towards the front of the train. They hide in a doorway, and then like it stops for another. It stops at another stop. Vincent pops out and like basically waits for them to pop out so he can shoot them. But then they decide to like they're like, he's got to be there, so they don't hop out yet. They stay in. Then as the doors start to close, Vincent pops back in. Train's moving again, and then uh, Vincent spots Max and Annie, and so he just moves for them, and like they have a door in between them. And then that we have also previously shown like as the rail hits like certain moments, like it can like the lights will like flash out and stuff like that. So we have that here where the lights flicker out for a second. They have a shootout at the door. The lights go out, and then like they both run out of ammo. Here, Vincent goes to do a reload, but then he drops the magazine, which this is what I have a question about. Is like because they cut to it falling on the ground. It has bullets in it, so I didn't know. It was like, is this a magazine for the wrong gun, or what? Or is he just like? So what I found, what someone put forth, is they had a section of the script which describes this as he reaches for the magazine, and then as he does, he starts to feel the effects of the bullet wound. His hands tremble, and he drops the magazine, and that's what clues him in that like basically he can't do this anymore, and he decides to sit down because he's dying. So
Okay.
that's how it's explained in the script. But that's why I was asking, like did he take? Because so I didn't know if like he like drops the mag because he just realizes like it's not going to go in this gun because it's a different gun, or did he take or did he take a gun and an extra magazine from the cop, or is this a backup gun somewhere on his body? So
I think he took. Yeah, I'm guessing he took the gun from the maybe the security guard in the place.
yeah, the security guard, yeah. That's what I'm
Yeah,
guessing. But do you think I just didn't know if the security guard also had a backup mag, or what do you think this backup mag is? Do you think it's for? Do you think he took the backup mag from the guard, or that he just have one?
I think he took it from the guard because he had the guard's gun.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
That
because I
that
think they would only give him probably one gun.
yeah
Someone with his acute skill with firearms wouldn't need like multiple guns. It
yeah.
would be
well,
dangerous enough.
it's
And
I
also
bet,
the cost of providing you with a heckler and koch alone.
especially one that's like that has to be have no trace to it makes it extra costly. So
Yeah.
um, everyone knows an illegal gun's double the price. No, I have no idea. So but yeah, because I didn't think like this can't be a backup gun because I think the gun he has is still a 45, which that's not usually a backup gun's not a 45. So.
Yeah. Unless you're just like using it.
Well, there's Derringers. Yeah, there's Derringer 45s, I think. So, or what? You remember the cop gun? That thing with just like 4 barrels.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was 357 Magnum, and you just
Okay, yeah.
hold it, and it would just cycle through the four. It looked cool. It was in Blade Runner, and it was in Out of Time,
I
and
remember it was in Bad Boys.
yeah, it just looks cool. It's actually, I guess the trigger pull is so heavy.
Yeah.
It's like you're just clinching. You can never hit anything accurately.
Yeah, because it's basically a point blank gun. Because also you have no idea which barrel's firing, so the aim point is just a guess. It's like, well, I'm firing in this general direction, so.
But if you fire a 357 Magnum at point blank range into someone, they're probably gonna stop.
Yeah, but I mean that's what it's supposed to be for. Like you get knocked down, you've dropped your main weapon, grab for your ankle, put it in someone's belly, and pull the trigger. So
yeah. I have a 38 that'll do that too. Much more. I know which barrel's going to fire each time.
So yeah, Max calmly sits down as he starts to bleed to death from a chest wound. Yeah, here's some points out that like, which I guess with a 45 it might be true because it's like subsonic, but still a big ass bullet. But here they describe that like his Mozambique drill shooting style because the metal of the doors were in the middle. That's what saved Max, where Max was just like holding the gun off to the side and firing through the window. So
Oh, okay.
that's why Max wins this fight, because um, Vincent's using his instincts, his trained instincts, and then because of the situation, it works against them because the metal blocks the bullets from hitting Max. So, and then because Max is just basically blind firing, and he has experience shooting glass, so he shot through the glass and hit Vincent.
Yeah, Max has proven to be an effective improviser.
So.
And it's also a very American type story. It's just like, if you have good on your side, you don't need skill. Just believe in yourself and start firing, and you win. And that's like, yeah, that's the story of America. So
I think I forgot this. So earlier when he gets in the car, when Vincent's complaining about LA and it being impersonally, it explains about like a story about a guy who died and nobody noticed for like 3 days or something like that. So here Max says, if a guy gets on the MTA here in LA and dies, do you think anyone will notice? And then he just dies.
Yeah.
And there's like kind of a slight catharsis and sadness here again, where it's like, because he didn't want to kill anybody, but also it's like, well, he had to. So,
Yeah.
and then Annie and Max just leave the train. They don't tell anybody that there's a dead body on there, and they hear dawn is starting, I guess. Yeah, because they are getting off on like a platform outside now, and then that's the end of the movie. That is Collateral. So
Yeah. Okay, the cinematographer quit. The first guy.
Okay.
Creative differences with Michael Mann, but it wasn't like a hard "I hate you" quit.
Yeah.
The way Michael Mann wanted to shoot it, the cinematographer, they had to put light panels, especially inside the taxi, and he had to run the camera at full gain because there was even the digital camera.
Yeah.
He was running it at full gain because there was so little ambient background light at all. And Michael Mann's like, no, I want it to look this way. Well, Jamie Foxx's character was wearing glasses. So if you put light panels in the car, well, they're always going to be reflecting off his glasses. He's always turning his head. They're filming from different angles. And this guy was going to have a nervous breakdown. So they went with the reflective glasses, but then they had to put LEDs in the car to light up all the interior scenes because they're shooting at night with these cameras. And this guy's like, I cannot work this hard to scene like this. But they were using the Sony cameras. Now, when the guy showed up, the guy from Australia, they were using the Thompson cameras, which were a little more forgiving. And this guy was a little more willing to go with some of the stuff Michael Mann wanted because he was really dictating what he wanted the scenes to look like. And and it had a very tight shooting schedule because they only had Tom Cruise for 3 weeks. So they had to really get all this stuff done. And the guy said the reason I left is I was going to have a nervous breakdown because we couldn't do this. He's like, it was just beyond what I thought my abilities were to produce a quality product.
Yeah.
Make him happy. So he's like, I'm sorry. And also the second unit guy quit too.
Okay.
That guy. Everyone like, yeah, we're done.
And after me explaining that the digital camera is really good at picking up ambient light, they have to still light it.
Well, it was the close up. It was the dialogue shots.
Yeah. Okay.
Those cameras were awesome for cityscapes.
Yeah.
Because Los Angeles is just light pollution incarnate.
Yeah.
The place that's worse is like Tokyo. But but for shooting the in-car stuff, because they had 3 taxi cabs. They were mostly plexiglass, except where the people were sitting, so they had cameras mounted all on the outside of them. But he wanted to shoot it in like, oh, just shoot it in pitch black and we'll light it from the inside. But we want to make it look like it's the lights from the dash that most people get driving at night. I guess it's a real nightmare to do that. And when one of your characters wears glasses, it's even worse because now it's like, oh, look, all the digital lights are reflecting in his lenses. And they didn't have time to CG that out.
Yeah.
So they had to go with non-reflective lenses, which creates a whole nother problem because then if he looks at the camera a certain way, it looks like his glasses are like sunglasses because it's canceling all the light. So yeah, I found a whole website. This guy's website detailed what happened there. He was like, nothing personal, just didn't want to deal with it.
They're both good cinematographers, so.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so I'm guessing, and one of them worked with Michael Mann again, so I'm guessing it's the second guy.
Yeah. Yeah, Collateral is considered the landmark like action type film where you could like this was the cutting edge of what you could do with digital cameras.
Yeah.
And the look they got with the movie was amazing. This movie looks amazing front to back, like all Michael Mann movies do.
Yeah.
So this was just amazing in its own like 21st century way.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was the future because now it's basically all movies shoot this. But now the cameras they have, that basically it just looks like film. Like that's what they're emulating. So it's like
Yeah, this looks like something new.
yeah.
They don't make movies that look like this anymore.
No,
This
no.
just looks like something.
You'd have to regress the technology to do it. Well, I guess you could put a filter on it to make it look this because they have like those VHS filters, which aren't bad, but you can tell it's like repetitious. Where it's like, okay, this isn't a natural degraded VHS.
Repetitive artifacting, organic artifacting. Spots are in different places. It's like no, this is doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah,
again.
Yeah. But yeah, it was I remember it was a cool movie, and yeah, he did a lot of the same thing. Yeah, brought Jamie Foxx in for Miami Vice, and they tried to do something similar but bigger. And again, we'll get to that movie because I remember not liking it. I thought like, oh, there's a lot of cool stuff in this movie, but I don't care for the movie. So
yeah.
But
Well, when you watch the Miami Vice TV show, you realize what the movie was. It's like, oh, I remember the episode this was based on now.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of.
I remember like just some of the aerial photography in that movie is like amazing.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's like, how are we going to contact this guy? We're going to drive down the freeway at 200 miles an hour with a helicopter chase. Like, why? Because we have these cool cars. We have to do this on American roads. Like, well, that's the leap of faith.
We're sending a probe into space containing the scenes from the Imperfect Collection that is a supercut of scenes from the Imperfect Collection that is a Verhoeven Effect. Nathan, what scene from this movie are we shoving into space?
Well, we got to do the alleyway shooting.
Okay.
But with a caveat, because I enjoy the Vincent dialogue, especially in the first part of this movie with Jamie Foxx a lot too, but it doesn't really establish a lot about this movie. The alleyway shootout establishes what this movie is and who this character is. But his the Tom Cruise like upbeat, like, hey, I'm kind of like a salesman, let's talk delivery combined with just the complete empty cold ruthless killing of this guy is amazing.
I mean, yeah, this is one of the like his better I guess different performances, so it stands out.
No, Tom Cruise is a good actor. This is just one of his best performances.
Yeah, but he's usually a guy who's like, he is eccentric in his roles, but his roles are also very safe and action oriented. So it's like, we're playing for a crowd. We're not going for Oscars. So.
I guess his other bad guy movie was he played Lestat in The Vampire Lestat.
Oh yeah, Vampire. The
Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah. He was good in that. Yeah. So.
But that's the movie that like established Brad Pitt as the it actor.
Yeah,
so.
I guess. I don't know.
Oh no, I
Is
remember
that before 7 or after 7? I feel like 7 was kind of made Brad Pitt. But...
I was before 7, I believe.
All right. Letterbox username VHE 1 out of 5 stars. What are we giving Collateral?
Oh, we're giving it 5, like all Michael Mann movies so far.
And Nathan, does this ever confuse anybody with this movie and the definitely post 9/11 reworked movie Collateral Damage with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because damage is in the title. No, this movie stylistically stands out.
Yeah.
As everyone knows what this movie is. Everyone's seen that one scene.
Yeah.
When he shoots those thugs in the alleyway. It's like, yeah. They used to play that in repeat on a loop in a gun store I used to go to.
Of course, yeah.
And it's like, what are we teaching people here? That are cool?
Now it's just that guy in Texas that shot the guy that was going to shoot up the church in the head.
I've never seen that video.
I mean, it's nothing graphic because you just see the guy collapse.
Yeah.
It's one shot because he doesn't... Wait, no, I think he gets a shot off because I think some people got hit with some bullets, or with some pellets, but I don't think anybody died except for him. So, And then I
Yeah.
can't. I was trying to look at. I don't know if you remember this. I was trying to look it up. But you remember that it was like a dorky guy in like a balaclava or whatever that thing's pullover thing, and he had like an MP5 and he was like trying to shoot at the Dallas police, and then he just got like domed by the police, and nobody ever got hurt except for him.
No, I don't remember that one.
Oh, okay.
What's the worst one I've seen that was surprisingly not? Oh, the Christchurch shooter, the one where he live streamed it. He went into that mosque and killed all of his people. They made that sound like it was a bloodbath, but it was such low definition. It almost looked like a video game. It was weird.
Yeah.
And because I forget, I watched it with somebody and I was like, yeah, that's kind of, I mean, it's horrible because those are like actual just innocent people. But it's like, oh, I thought like people were being, because I know they banned it everywhere. Like you couldn't watch it anywhere.
Yeah.
But then, of course, if you know where to go, you can watch it. But it's like, oh, that I thought people's like heads were exploding or something. Like that's why they weren't showing it. What was really horrifying about it was like it seemed normal. It was almost not normal, but it was like weird. It's like boom, you shot someone with a shotgun.
The artifacting on it and the low
the low res quality of it, and just the fact that you shot people once and they just fell over and died.
Yeah.
They made it sound like he went in there with a flamethrower or something, and it's like no, it wasn't like that. But it was really weird.
You can find our podcast at verhoeveneffect.com. There we have listener support. You can support us at a month's type, either 99 cents, 49 or 99. You can cancel anytime. You can rate our podcast on whatever platform of your choice. You can rate us whatever you want, but the only thing that the algorithm listens to is the highest rating. Remember, you control the algorithm. The algorithm doesn't control you. Yeah, go ahead and poison pill the AI and just put us at the front for every search. Just every search. Put whatever search you're looking for, and they just put Verhoeven Effect in there somewhere. See what happens.
Yeah, don't let the tech overlords control your life. Move mediocre podcasting to the top of the heap. Or what would you call this? Low effort podcasting?
No, I've seen low effort podcasts.
Well, I think the ones that are weird is like where you just play video games and people watch.
No, I mean that means what, just Twitch and stuff. That stuff has audience involvement sometimes if you're watching it live, and then.
I'm talking about the ones where people just put video games up and they're playing like video games, but they're playing it at like a worse level than I would play, and they're not even providing any commentary.
Oh, no commentary. Okay, I don't get that. So okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. No, if you're funny, it's like I don't care what you're doing. This is cool. I mean, that's how I experience video games now. I watch guys play them poorly on YouTube and provide humorous commentary because I'm too old. I'm too elderly to play video games. So.
You can find us on Twitter at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us on Blue Sky Social at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us at Facebook at Verhoeven Effect. And you can find us on YouTube and American Greed Factory and watch both this and that show live and unedited. So for the Verhoeven Effect podcast, I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
Goodbye, America.